Oh, and if we can get the video to play.
Well, actually, I've swapped it to display capture because there was something kind of off. It was like playing the video fine, but I had to click on, like, I had to specifically click like on Streamlabs to update like frame by frame. So like I had to keep on clicking it. It's the only way that it would actually play the video. Um, like it wasn't smooth at all. So I've now changed it to display capture rather than a browser capture.
Okie dokie.
Hopefully that works. So
You know
just
the audio's on, right?
yeah, the audio is on.
Okay.
And that's up on Discord. And I wish there was a way for Streamlabs to link in to like other things. I found that there's no Discord bot that is good. All Discord bots are garbage.
Yeah, we were using Callbot for a while, but it broke.
Ah, see, like I seem to get a wee bit of a wee bit of action out of a bot on Discord, and then it does just die. I
Yeah.
don't know what's preventing it getting the message that it's live. Because like I was running into some bots where like I'm not sure if it's just strain on the bot. Maybe it's getting way too many things to kind of post out. But like, um, I was going live, and then like an hour and a half later, it would at everyone in the Discord being like, "Oh, I for Scotland's live."
Yeah.
And sorry, getting the last couple of things done.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just watching your animated stream is starting.
Yeah, I feel like one day I'd like to move away from that, to be honest. But at the moment, it kind of ticks the box. I know that like some folk go for the superly super heavy branded, um, like way over the top custom one, which I think is what I would like to get to at some point. But right now, that one does me. Um, I like how Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday are seen as a holiday rather than just days I'm not doing. It's not like I'm holidaying from life. I should change it to busy. Just busy. Leave me alone. I should stream my busyness.
I've thought about doing that at some point, like legitimately just streaming a day.
So there's really, really embarrassingly actually, I missed streaming so much when I lived in China. Like I really, really missed it, and I had a VPN. So what I did was plus I didn't have a laptop. So if for anyone who's joining the stream and wondering how I actually survived when I was in China or Russia, I had an iPad, and what I
I'm sorry.
found, what I found was a way to like basically capture the iPad screen. And I tried to do like a couple of streams. It wasn't on Twitch, unfortunately. It might have been on Mixer or something like that. Um, I don't know. I was really desperate to stream. But what I did was I streamed myself doing my Chinese homework. So it was just me
Um,
me writing Chinese characters over and over again.
yeah, I know that. Like, I know of one streamer at least who streams him doing his daily Duolingo.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. It would keep you motivated to keep delivering.
Yeah.
Also, hello chat. If anyone is there and is available to help us check audio levels, that'll be good. If I need to turn Sky up, let me know. Tundra, thank you very much for the subscription. You're on 3 months. That's awesome. Hey, Danino, welcome to the stream. Sky is a little quieter than I am. Okay, well, I will
Oh dear.
turn Sky up if I can.
Never, I've never heard someone say Sky could be louder.
User settings. That's not for me. How the hell did I turn you up?
You should just right click on.
Ah,
picture.
okay, I've got you now. What about now?
I need to say stuff.
Yeah.
Hello everyone.
Is that better? We'll find the perfect combo, or like the perfect balance, even, not combo. Right, how's that? Speak, Sky.
Sure. Oh, that's better already. Apparently.
That's better
I'm
already.
going to do that.
Wonderful. Sorted. So yeah, we're gonna be starting pretty soon, folks. But we're gonna. I'm actually looking forward to like chopping this video down and like analyzing each bit, because I think there's some really interesting tales behind how we managed to do it.
I should retweet this. I just realized.
You should. So I'm yeah, well, we'll see how we go. I'm not sure how long this will take. I mean, it'll obviously take slightly longer than the length of the video. And if folk are like absolutely desperate to watch me jump onto BioShock 2 afterwards, it really depends on the time, because I don't want to jump onto BioShock 2 and have like 0 time left. So we'll see how this goes. We'll analyze this video to death first, and then we'll see how we do. But I think we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. How is chat today? Perlo, Dubat, Tundra, Danino? How are things? The reason why I currently don't have... I've still got the starting thing up and I've not swapped it yet is because for this I have to display capture, so it would just be annoying. I mean, I can give it a go, but like luckily I don't have Streamlabs full screen, otherwise it would be like, you know, going through that kind of weird warp thing it does when it like it captures me capturing and then just continues.
Oh, the Hall of Mirrors effect. Yeah.
Forever.
Also,
yeah.
hi, Tundra.
Woo, there we go. Cool. So I'm going to be hiding that for now. And yeah, we'll go from there. You're ready for the distraction. Well, no problem. We are here to distract. That's the plan. And I know, like, let me just check. So the lighting, is this too green? Does it just look blue?
Hey, you've got my teal.
Yeah. Well, no, that's green.
Yeah, that's the same with my backlight as well on my
Yeah.
streams. I have to turn it bright green in order to make it look teal.
Hey, lovely scientist, welcome to the stream. Looks like I'm in the jungle. Exactly. That's the vibe I was going for, actually. But
yeah, become monkey.
Yeah, let's become monkey. But no, feedback for this video has been really good so far. So thank you to everyone who has watched it and liked it and subscribed it and everything.
Favorited it.
Rang the bell.
The bell.
Yeah, and shared it and favorited it and sent it to your granny, and your granny might like it. Probably not. But
smash the bell.
And smash the bell. But yeah, overall super overjoyed at the kind of reception of it. And we've we're already scripting the next one.
Yeah. Interesting. The become monkey joke is so related to this project in the fact that was the working title for
yeah.
Up until like the final cut was Ancestors Become Monkey.
Yeah, wasn't it Return to Monkey?
Return of the Monkey.
Return of the Monkey. Oh no, my emails are gonna pop up. People are gonna know all the porn that I watch. That's fine. I will kill that. So yeah, we'll get the ball rolling in just a sec. But I think it was such a fun video to make. I really enjoyed it. And I like it was, back when did we stream it? We were streaming it like January, February time, maybe. I don't, were we streaming it last year? I don't think we were.
I can't remember when. It was around the time that you got me the game, which I still haven't installed.
Oh, okay. So
it's funny to
No, go on.
It's funny to click on to my Steam and be like, I for Scotland has played 6.5 hours recently. I'm like, yep.
Yep. Sure have. Also, I think it was, I've played through the game like at this point 4 or 5 times now, all the way through. And then there's all the kind of additional bits and pieces added to that. But I played the game all the way through before I streamed it because I wasn't sure if I was going to be capable of streaming it. Then it became a stream playthrough, which was wonderful, and it was quite long. It covered us for several weeks, and I think it was almost the only thing that I did stream, because I was back when I didn't have a nice schedule and I was like streaming a game until completion and then moving on, which doesn't work. Variety is the way to go. And then I played through it again to get the initial footage for this video, and then arguably I've played through it again in parts to get all the other footage for this. So I suppose welcome everyone. We're going to be getting started now, I suppose. I suppose the one thing I do need to check before I go is, can people hear the audio of the video? It's the one thing I didn't check before we started because I'm a stupid bastard. So yeah, if you can tell me, I'll turn the volume up max. I will. I'll put the subtitles on for people who are after it, and we'll boogie, I suppose.
Subtitles provided by the fantastic Jessica, I believe.
She positioned them. I wrote them.
You wrote this script. Can't hear anything, I don't think. Oh wait, mine's muted. I'm a stupid bastard now.
Oh, so that's how you do
I can hear it.
So can everyone hear that? Just checking before we continue. I'm gonna pause it there. Can everyone hear that, or was that like super quiet? Yes, we can hear it. Wonderful. So right, I'm gonna analyze the first 22 seconds of that video right there. That joke right at the start. Oh, so that's how you do it. Was the first thing that I wrote for this script. I had nothing else. I didn't even write notes. It was the first thing I wrote on that script, and I knew exactly that I wanted a pregnancy joke in there. So there we go. Enjoy that bit of knowledge.
If you guys in the chat have any like questions about editing or technical processes or anything, shoot them my way. I will be watching.
To spice up my life. An evolution-focused survival game
I love
where
to
you
talk
play as
about
a
editing.
monkey. Sign me up. But then, like a complete idiot, I decided to read the reviews, and my interest was slowly chipped away by lines like clunky mechanics, repetitive, and frustrating. I didn't buy it, and I thought I'd made the right choice and that I'd dodged a bullet, and the game faded away from memory until I ended up in yet another gaming slump. My search for something new had ancestors popping up as recommended in my Steam queue, and curiosity just got the better of me, and I bought it. Ancestors is a unique experience, putting you in charge of evolving mankind over the course of about 10 million years. It takes you on a journey, and that's one that involves a lot of swinging through trees, poking at bees, picking off fleas, and shagging on leaves.
Sorry, just to answer some of the stuff that's going on in chat at the moment. The Habsburg joke was one that I knew would kind of come up. It was. I think that it was, Sky, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was kind of an early addition to the script once like the full thing was done.
Yeah.
Because obviously once we get the kind of like, I get the first draft written, then we start to actually shape the video and how it might work, and a lot of the, like, I'm one of those folk where like anything visual when it comes to it, I'm a nightmare at, like, there's some jokes that I know what I want, like, kind of from the beginning. I hate to call them jokes. I hate that so much. There's some utterly amazing sheer force of wit that I plan well in advance and I know exactly what I want on screen. But then there's a couple of times where, like, as you watch like a kind of first draft, that you go, that's actually a good place to kind of add that in. But the Habsburg joke that we'll come on to in a bit was definitely in the script from an early stage, and we'll get to the other one, Katie, when it arrives. I think it's coming up quite soon. I think it's in the intro, or at least a wee bit after it.
There's also some places like where we can talk about the process here real quick. Where like I'll come up with a joke in the edit, and I'll throw it in a cut and be like, what do you think of this? Like there's the fishing joke later on.
Yeah, that was all you. But it worked really well.
Sometimes those jokes stay in, sometimes those jokes get cut.
Yeah. It was.
I think this video probably has the most cut from the initial draft.
Yeah. But I think it worked for the betterment of it.
Oh yeah, like cutting isn't necessarily a bad thing.
It's cutting out the shite so you don't have to experience it. And that's a very meticulous process that we'll come on to in a bit. But we'll watch a wee bit more just now, and we'll see how we go.
It's the first game by Panache Digital Games, or Panache du Numérique.
I hope everyone appreciates my French here.
It was founded by former creative director of Assassin's Creed 1, 2 and Brotherhood, Patrice Désilets. He basically founded the Assassin's Creed franchise, which is funny because I quickly got bored of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and stopped playing it in order to replay Ancestors. To me, playing as a monkey that doesn't really speak is a far more interesting experience.
Salute, Claudia.
You here to look at the book?
And
sorry, just a wee aside on that. That is to me that is the funniest piece of dialogue in any Assassin's Creed game ever. The only reason that actually was in was mainly a kind of inside joke from when I was going through high school, and me and my friends just, like, I think one day we were talking about Assassin's Creed. We were all playing it, and of course it was single player, and it was just we'd gradually just become more shrill to the point where, like, at one point we'd be walking past each other in the corridor and be like, "You here to look at the book?" And we just gradually make it like way more like silly Italian, but also like far more shrill. And it's just something that's I don't know. It was, while we were thinking of this, I was like, we need to have some Assassin's Creed footage in here. We can't just have Monkey. And you know, I think it worked. It was funny.
Mm-hmm.
You here to look at the book? You here to look at the book?
I promised not to rant about Assassin's Creed.
It's such a weird line of dialogue as well.
I actually think Ancestors was
Salute, Claudia. You here to look at the book?
Unfortunately, I think most reviewers just saw that this game was from the creator of Assassin's Creed's new company, and their expectations just went through the roof. And I also think it's worth saying that at the time of the game's release, there was only 35 developers on the project.
This was a really, that bit there was a really unintentional joke. I'm going to pause this at any moment. I do apologise. If you prefer more like bite-sized bits, that's cool. But it wasn't meant to be a joke here. When I recorded it, I obviously said developers. There are more jobs in Panache Digital Games than developer. There's a lot more than just programming. So I was like, no, we need to have people there, as if developers aren't people.
No. We have kind of like 3 or 4 different, effectively joke types, at least the way I classify them. Where there's like audio jokes, there's like visual jokes, like a funny thing is happening on stream. There's like ironic jokes, almost like you'll say something but like we'll show something different.
Yeah.
Or there's what I call screw the creator.
Yep.
Where it's like I'm the idea being, you know, me and the audience are making fun of I. We have a few of them later.
Which you do all the fucking time on stream anyway, so you know, it's I'm very used to it at this point. I think and I suppose we can get onto that when we're talking about cut content. We're 2 minutes and 15 seconds into the video and we've already narrated way too long.
And we've been going for 20 minutes.
we'll watch a wee bit more, but yeah, there's some jokes later on that like went through iterations, so to speak, and then some did get cut. So I'll get the mouse out the way.
In contrast, Ubisoft Montreal is one of the largest studios in the world. employing more than 3,500 people.
That's a
For Assassin's
ridiculous
Creed
number of
Valhalla,
people, eh?
He had 14 other studios
Ubisoft Montreal is
supporting.
older than me.
No, we're not talking
Yeah.
about Assassin's Creed, I did promise. But I think this does paint a picture of the huge difference between the resources of Ubisoft and small indie studios who are trying to launch their first game. I don't think that Ancestors suits everyone's taste, but it dares to be different both conceptually and mechanically in a time where lots of big titles are becoming just more samey. And yes, I'm talking about you open world action RPGs. A genre that was once diverse and exciting has now become the unseasoned chicken of the game.
Gotta get a dig into
Now, in
Cyberpunk,
fairness, Ancestors
like all
could probably
kids.
be categorised as an open world survival RPG, but it's
Oh,
one that at
we
least
could
attempts to
quickly talk
experiment
about
and
that.
Yeah,
experiment,
well-
even with limited spices.
Okay, we'll go from there. Go on, Sky.
Yeah, so that was originally a joke I introduced where I think we just had Assassin's Creed footage up initially,
Yeah.
and then I was like, this needs something, so I went through to my kitchen, realized I hadn't cleaned the counter today, went and got on my chopping board and just like did the joke, the slapping of the chicken down, and then I obviously liked it and was like, I'm gonna reshoot it with me. I'm like, yeah, okay, go for it. And then the fucking mayo joke
Yeah,
is
so
even better.
yeah, so it was. We thought we'd kind of keep up the kitchen metaphor, and I did like that. You know, there was the sort of the chicken smackdown, which had, you know, was a kind of throwdown. Like if you ever want to get like super into me smacking a chicken off a counter, you can like see my fingerprints because it took so many takes to get the right angle. So there's indents in the chicken, and you see it when I put down, because I was literally doing like a full on, like it was sat in my hand like this. It was like horrible, and then I just like basically cantilevered my hand down onto the chopping board. So there was like giant indents in this chicken, and then like to refilm it, me and Jessica were doing a shop anyway, so we jumped in, and I was like, you know, we should try and get like something to kind of continue on from that scene. So the idea being limited spices, spicy white person. So I decided to get light mayonnaise, and then Jessica's camera work in the zoom, which I'll go back just to show.
Chicken of the games.
Like fucking hand imprint.
Ancestors could probably be categorised as an open world survival RPG, but it's one that at least attempts to experiment in the kitchen, even with limited spices.
Like that to me was just, it was such a
It's such a
zoom.
good visual gag, like
yeah. And then
and it also works as a great example of what we were saying, where I'll come up with jokes and then, you know, in the edit, and then, you know, they'll get refined and changed and you know, in this case, like reshot with you, which makes more sense than being reshot with me.
yeah.
And
it wasn't even like, you know, we had faces in it was just hands, and you know, I think when you'd filmed it, you had like the whole chopping board in flames, so it was like a red chopping board. We tried to, and that is why you see a wee bit more of the counter, as well as my Toshiba microwave and the jar of rice. We were just like trying to capture a wee bit more. But anyway, why explain jokes? Because that ruins them. Let's continue.
Ancestors was
Gonna
a game
over-explain
that
all the
was
jokes in
bold
this
enough to
video,
put
so you never
itself
need to
out
watch it
there and
again.
ask the question
Yep.
whether a game needs to explain itself to its audience.
In fact, please watch it.
Unfortunately for
Please.
game reviewers,
I
that
need this
answer
to
is
watch it 100
yes.
more
I
times
want
each.
everything spoon-fed to me because I'm a child.
So we'll pause after this bit. Sorry, I full screened it there by accident. Apologies.
I get everything like 5 seconds later, so it's really weird to listen to.
Thanks very much, Valhallan, for the sub. That's 6 months. Cheers. You've upgraded to silver. I maybe do actually need to have a talk about the shields and whether that's a thing we should continue, or maybe something else that we can come up with. We can all chat about it. But anyway, I suppose a couple of things there. There was the bit with the child. I was kind of being a bit petty and a bit spiteful because, like, after when I wrote that, I'd went and gathered all the footage or the screenshots of all the reviews, and like going through the story again, which I do come on to a wee bit later, but like how the game was reacted to in its release, and how fiercely it was kind of like there was a lot of really critical reviews out there, which, like as I said at the kind of start of the video, it almost stopped me from playing the game, and I'm so fucking glad that they didn't stop me playing the game because it ended up being something like amazing, and I've had such a great experience with it, and I made a fucking almost 40-minute video out of it. So there was a bit of like, you know, there was a bit of that about it, and I know that there's obviously, like, when you're trying to grow a YouTube channel, it's like you can kind of try and thrive on the controversy. This isn't like live controversy that's happened right now, but it was that kind of like the reviewers were just shitty, and I think their reaction and the problem was that when I say reviewers, I wasn't just talking about articles. I mean, there's lots of reviews that, like, I think looking back, they understood that it, like, the kind of concept that they were going for, but the issue was that the kind of initial attitudes in the kind of game journalism side of things very quickly spilled into users who were just parroting whatever they read in the review, and also
which is quite often, I think, the case with game reviews.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things. But I also think there was, and I didn't want to touch on it too much here because it wasn't the focus, but there was a wee bit of like, there's this kind of innate desire in some really bitter people online to try and like knock someone who's created something amazing down a couple of pegs. So, and I know that, like, obviously one of the co-founders of Panache is Patrice Desilets, and you know he worked on Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and 2, or like 1, 2 and Brotherhood or something like that, and I think there was almost this kind of like feverish, you're not as good as you were when you were with Ubisoft Montreal, and of course, like, looking at the resources of Ubisoft Montreal versus an indie studio that's created their first game and a toolkit and almost an engine for it from scratch is really different. So I did kind of want to stick the knife a wee bit into some reviewers because I think, you know, and again this is touched on later in the video, but there's they didn't want to give it the time of day, which does come on to another subject that is included again a wee bit in the video, so we'll continue watching.
There's
another thing, Sky, go.
Interesting editing thing with the talking about the game people who played are children. That point at the start, the game reviewers are children, joke. That is footage that I believe actually comes up later again. Like, the same shot is used for you talking about monkeys being bipedal. Yeah.
And sorry, there's a couple of folk joined. Hey Hex, hey Vash, how's things? Good to see you. So I was like, one of the things that you might have noticed from like some previous videos is I was kind of trying to lean in a bit into the cinematic nature of it. I tried to be a wee bit more cinematic, and I think, Sky, you kind of got what I was meaning when I said it, because you ended up creating that intro sequence there of kind of the chopped together footage, kind of showing that progressive evolution. And one thing that was
like it's done kind of like a documentary, like a monkey documentary.
Yeah. Congratulations on the job, Vash. Good on you. I suppose another thing just on this section is that we like, music plays a massive part in this video, and this is the kind of first video that you might notice has touches of music the whole way through it, but there's definitely some parts that I was like, we really need to hit this section. you know, I think there was lots of annotations all the way through the document that was like, we need the music to swell at this specific part. And I think, you know, what ended up being, I mean, we'll come on to it, but I'm so proud of the conclusion, like the whole bit at the end. To me, that is the culmination of a good couple of, I'd say, months of work, as well as kind of showing how much the game kind of meant. But I'm dead chuffed with it. But anyway, we shall. Sorry, go on.
The only other time I think music so far in our work together has been as important was Vodean from Republic Commando.
Yeah, 100%. Like that was. It was interesting because when we did that bit on Republic Commando, there was the we've not done a Republic Commando post-mortem, have we?
Nope.
No, we didn't. Oh well. It'd be nice to reminisce at some point. Maybe we can set that up. Depends if people are.
When the next version of Republic Commando Remastered comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll do it then.
Yeah. So we'll continue on for a wee bit. Again, we're only 4 minutes in.
Oh my god.
This is gonna be long.
Before I dive headfirst into an explanation of all of the mechanics, I'll start with the premise of the game. You play as a member of a clan of apes, and you can control one member of that clan at any given time, but can switch to different members as you wish. And your goal is to venture into the unknown, to explore, expand, and evolve. The game starts 10 million years ago, which is roughly when things started to go downhill for pretty much everyone. That's right, some monkeys had sex 10 million years ago, and now I need a Lumilamp to combat seasonal affective disorder. The game is...
I'm so worried that some people think I'm making light of that. I do use a Lumilamp.
Yeah.
I hope fine. I'm not making light of it. Haha. But yeah, I was that was another joke that I was weirdly proud of, but I'm worried that there's maybe some people who are like, you know, does I actually deal with seasonal affective disorder? The answer to which is yes.
And this is the facts you need to come to the post-mortem stream for.
The other thing that I hope everyone who watched the stream of me doing this appreciated was that I had the Homo Scotian bit in there, because that was what we'd called our lineage when we did the stream. So that was a shout out to all the Twitch viewers out there. So
you're all in the video now.
Yeah, it was
a random monkey and that's you.
Yeah. Easter eggs specifically for you guys. That's what this was all about. So, yeah, that was that bit. We'll continue.
It's pretty hands-off, the idea being that evolution isn't something that's set in stone, and it's a good way of excusing that we don't really know exactly when our ancestors involved certain physical and mental capabilities.
I say involved there!
Realistic approach to evolution, and by that I mean that the entire whole evolutionary process is extremely gamified, but you are evolving towards being the first humans, so no third arms or gills. Yet here I am with partially webbed feet. Over the course of the game, you journey across the map through different biomes like jungle, caves,
there's
deserts,
behind the
swamps.
scenes info about that joke too.
Go on.
The feet pics. That is from a folder which I never opened from the Falkirk Centre hard drive.
You don't need to lie. So yeah, that was actually that was a joke. So obviously, me, Sky, and Andrew all kind of work in the sort of same space. So we have like that sort of collaboration folder where, you know, I set up the folders for the video. There's normally a script folder, there's a recording folder, and like I think it was the first time I'd shared it out. The like the Falkirk Centre one. I think it was the first time I'd shared the Falkirk Centre one out, and I'd made a folder called Feet Pics. Wondering if either of you would actually raise it in conversation, which you never did. You just completely avoided it, but there is actually a picture of my foot in there, so you missed out on that.
This is what happens in the office.
yeah, our virtual office.
I'd like to call HR. Do we have a HR department yet?
Yeah, it's me.
It's you in a wig.
So that yeah, that was a joke that was previously in the Falkirk Centre as a sort of internal thing that spilled out into this video, which hopefully made a few people laugh. For the record, I do actually have web feet. Not that you need to know any of this, and I do apologise, but yeah, I've actually got kind of webbed feet.
Again, just the facts you learn in the Post-Mortem streams.
Yeah.
I has seasonal affective disorder and webbed feet. No correlation.
I was going to say there's maybe a bit of relation. The I cinematic universe keeps expanding. Yeah, exactly. You're getting tons of I for Scotland lore here. This is the sort of things that you're missing out. So yeah, we'll push on.
Encountering all that prehistoric life has to offer, you find new and exciting foods, new crafting tools, and a world filled with
That is by far the worst death in the game.
Is that the being eaten by the snake?
Yeah.
No, the
and
mantis.
that's the premise of the game.
The mantis is
Explore,
bad.
expand, evolve. Good luck.
So yeah, that whole thing with like some of the deaths in Ancestors are super brutal. The one that didn't make it into the video was when you kill one of the otters in game and you stab it like straight like through the ground and then you drag it backwards. Was really gruesome. But for that, obviously I'm fantastic at this game, so I rarely get hit when I'm fighting and I rarely die. So I had to go and purposefully film footage of when I died. Before in my first playthrough, I was getting killed all the time. I wish I'd recorded it, but getting killed by the centipede there was the first time I'd ever seen that animation, and I was like, holy shit, because
I think in the edit. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on, Sky.
I think in the edit, like, you uploaded that footage because you were like, oh, can you add the centipede death? I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. And then, like, I disappeared for, like, 5 minutes and messaged you being like, Jesus Christ, Panache.
Yeah, it was so full on, but it was like, it's good. Like, the other animation that I really like of the death, if I can find it, is, yeah.
This is the goth part of the stream.
The elephant fucking yeeting you into the floor. Look at that! It's like, and the elephant doesn't just do that. The longer bit of that elephant thing is that he slams you on the ground and then stomps on you. It's like, it's really full on. And then of course this centipede thing, giant centipedes, worst thing on the fucking planet.
So much death.
And that's the premise of the game. Explore, expand, evolve. Good luck.
Well done, guys. We made it to part 2.
The game starts with a cutscene showing a lot of the wildlife murdering each other while they follow a fish down a river. It eventually falls into the hands of a delighted ape who takes to the treetops with his child to enjoy his snack, until he gets fucking destroyed by a giant bird and the baby falls to the forest floor. You
I think
start
that
the
actually
game
might be
in
the most
control
brutal
of the
death.
baby, who is naturally completely traumatized by recent events and doesn't know where it is. This is a good metaphor for you, the player, who is also a traumatized child. The world is colourless, except for the red flashing images of the vicious animals that exist within the child's imagination. You get introduced to a few basic mechanics, the ability to actively listen for nearby wildlife and determine if it's safe, the ability to use your intelligence to recognise and commit items and locations to memory, and your sense of smell to smell. The game might be hands-off in regards to guidance, but it expects you to be very hands-on in regards to the individual senses of the ape you're controlling, which is something I hadn't really encountered in a game before. However, the child is a child, so is only good at locating hiding spots. If you choose to hide, then the game swaps character to an adult member of the clan with your new goal to locate the lost kid. Or, if you've played the game before, you can walk the child back to camp and skip that section. That's as much of a tutorial as you're going to get. You'll get a few objectives like build a bed or discover a location, but beyond that, there's really no much guidance. I think that works to the game's advantage. If strict objectives were given in Ancestors, I feel it would limit the player's engagement and interaction
There
with
was
the
quite
world.
a challenge
The game starts with
in
good
editing
luck.
some
We
of
won't
this
help you
because,
much.
like,
That's right.
you go through such an evolution obviously the camera's angle changes, the position changes. There's so many different animations. Where it comes to like the Republic Commando video, it was very much like this is a man with a gun.
It was
You can
all
pretty much always have that visual link, whereas it's like it's much harder to get seamless transitions here because it's like you go from a monkey on all fours to a monkey walking around with a stick 40,000 years later.
Plus, it like obviously Republic Commando's in first person, so your screen becomes the camera when it's first person, whereas in third person we had to kind of like, I mean, some of the footage that, I mean, we've got so much Ancestors footage. I'm so glad I had like my PC to do this, because there was no fucking way under the sun it was fitting on like Jessica's laptop. Like, you know, I've got what is it? I've got 4 terabyte hard drive. And I feel like a fair amount of it is Ancestors footage now. Come on, Hex. Jeez, thank you very much for gifting the subs there. Rain on my window, Loising, it's red against Mike Scotland and Zooey. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoy your emotes. And Hex, please give a thank you to Hex for dishing those out. Thanks very much, Hex.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Sky.
Thanks, Hex. We have 124 gigabytes of just footage, of like unprocessed footage. The game is 218. Like, we have over half the size of the game in just playthrough footage.
Wait, we've got... Sorry, how big is Ancestors, the game?
218 gig.
218 gig? Ancestors?
Pretty sure it is.
No, I don't think so.
Wait, it might be 21.8. Am I just bad at reading?
I think it's 21.8.
Am I stupid?
No.
No, it's 218.9. Oh, no, that's the gig available. Oh, my God. Okay. One day I'll be able to read. It's 8.73 gig.
Wait, the game is 8.73?
Yeah, so we
Amazing.
have...
That's well optimized.
We have... Please ignore my stupidity. I am qualified at my job. We have 14 times the amount of data used on footage.
Yeah, we got a lot of Ancestors footage, and like I think the thing with it is that we had a full playthrough's worth of footage, and then there was all the extra footage that was like went and like refilmed on top of everything. So yeah, we were busy.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's push on. I had to drop in Dark Souls here. I just, one, because there's that kind of like ironic joke these days about like, oh, everything gets compared to Dark Souls. So it was kind of a wee nudge at that. At the same time, like there is this kind of attitude in quite a lot of games now where it's like, oh, we're not going to help you, we're going to be really unforgiving, and you're going to learn on the back of that. Havensfall, thank you for gifting a sub to Sky. Sky, I hope you enjoy your emotes. You can thank Havensfall personally. Cool, so we'll push on. So yeah, this is the Dark Souls bit.
Right, welcome to the Dark Souls of Evolution.
And this is the penis joke. So the reason why is because if you don't see the eyeball here, you can make like, you know, there's a fucking, you know, head, like it looked like a penis. And I think when it's shown in slow motion as this kind of like ominous thing rising from the bottom of the screen, it was a joke that I kind of said on the fly. And the really funny thing is, sorry,
I honestly think it'll help us in case, like, against any form of demonetization as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it was actually really funny because when we put the Patreon version up, which had the sort of first 20 minutes of it, that was what the chosen thumbnail was, as in, like, YouTube had decided that was the thumbnail. So it had this is a fish, not a penis. written, and it was wonderful.
I'm just seeing what your Nightbot commands are. Don't mind me.
Hex, thousands, probably.
Anyway.
Cheers.
I'm also a moderator.
So yes, this is a fish, not a penis. Just letting everyone know.
Yeah, that has been the thumbnail. I think for every cut
Yeah.
had that thumbnail.
I love how it was like YouTube's chosen it though. And I know that this scene gets repeated. I loved how long we held on this monkey just falling into the abyss.
A lot of that was the reasoning because, like, in Dark Souls, you never get, a clear kill animation. It's like, a demon will pick you up and then throw you across the room and then stab you, and it'll be like, you died.
For some people, but for me, trying something, failing, and having my entire clan wiped out before starting a new game and quickly catching up by using the knowledge I'd learned previously was so much fun. It also became a sort of mini challenge with myself, just to see how fast I could reach my previous attempt. And then
Thanks. So, in that section there's a bit where the snake is like kind of half devouring the ape, and it's because like the ape, like that death animation's really long in a really funny way. It starts to consume you, and then the screen fades to black, and then it comes back again, and it's still consuming the ape. So I thought that was a good kind of interjection there. But a lot of this is like, we're talking about the game and explaining the basic premise, because you've kind of got to do that introduction in nearly everything. So
once I had an adequate grasp of the mechanics,
sorry, I should have paused it there.
Confident that I'd be able to return back to camp and into my lover's arms to have a night of leaf bed passion while the entire clan watches in utter disgust. This lack of guidance
that is really disgusted monkey.
Back to a time when
it is.
All video games fascinated.
But monkey's got to fuck.
Some things I knew would probably be in the game. It's fairly common knowledge that early humans hunted with sharp sticks, so I figured I'd be able to sharpen a stick with a rock maybe. This is something I knew from entirely my own knowledge prior to starting the game. It had absolutely nothing to do with seeing it in the trailer. And I think that's what makes the starting area of the game, the hidden waterfall oasis, so great. It surprises a lot of new players, but there's so much you can do before you even leave the first camp. From building new leaf beds, to spearfishing, to stealing honey from a beehive and just rubbing yourself all over with it seductively. The game essentially gives you a lot of the ingredients to experiment with from the very beginning, and when you discover new ways to do things, you progress. Almost like that's the basis for our entire existence.
Sorry, hi Spookpoo, how you doing? We were just watching that wee section there. So yeah, I think this is one of the really interesting things about the game actually is, and I'm glad I kind of touched on it there. There is so much you can do in the first area of the game before you even venture out into the wilderness and run into like all the animals trying to attack you. You're in a relatively safe area at the start, and I think that kind of like lends itself. And if I was to overanalyze it and write it all again, I would say that like the game kind of encourages you to like take your time. You've got like 10 million years to evolve, so chill out. But the starting area allows you to get the basics down on like so many things. You can create multiple tools. I mean, you guys saw me play this in stream if you were there for that. But like, you can create so many kind of tools. You can do the whole sharpened sticks thing. You can start to build beds. You can build barriers out of the sticks. You can start to climb trees, and I think there's coconuts that you can start to like inspect, and you start to learn all the different food types, and then I think if you go all the way back, there's like a secret bit where you can pick up like a gem, and a gem means that you become kind of like fearless, so like you'll never get scared, and there's a whole raft of things you can do in that first area before you venture out. So I imagine that's kind of speaking to the game's kind of thing of like you can like be patient, take your time to learn, and then go out and explore. I imagine what quite a lot of people do, because of the way that the tutorial works, is you start as the kid, you go from being a kid to going looking for that kid. Thank you very much for the subscriptions, Bookput. That's 8 months. Thanks very much. And hope you enjoy your continued emotes. But yeah, from that main starting area, you can go on a path, and I think a lot of folk who are new to the game don't get any of the controls down before going out and venturing, and then when they get their ass handed to them, they rage quit basically. And I think I tried my absolute best during this not to have a go at other YouTubers, because there was a couple of reviews on YouTube that I watched, one of which is just infuriating, because the guy just doesn't understand the premise of the game, and I even say it later on, like he's literally guffawing, and he's like really over the top performative, and he's like, I just don't get how you could design a game like this. And it's like, it's all very like performative and over the top for the sake of it, and not looking at it like, as a game where you've got to evolve. So like I'll come on to it when I say it later on in the video, but it was another thing that kind of flagged in. I'm trying my best not to stick the knife into anyone. Maybe I should. Maybe controversy sells, and I can start a feud with like a YouTuber with like 60,000 subscribers or something. But I try to avoid that, because I wanted to put it more of a positive spin on the game than shit talking anyone. It did cross my mind to do it though.
Another aspect I absolutely adored was
I have
how
nothing
this
to
lack
add.
of games
Come on,
helps
Kay.
the player to be more engaged with the world. In recent years, there's been a bit of pushback against map markers and how they're implemented in games, particularly when it comes to open world games. One of the biggest criticisms of map markers is that they often detract from the actual world the game is set in, because instead of exploring and studying the environment, the player's eyes are just glued to wherever the marker is. The good news is that Ancestors doesn't suffer from this, because
Quite a
the
lot
game
of the
just says,
time, if
"Hey,
you see a piece of text in like those 2 stars, it's me.
Yeah.
It's either me or I, like making our little side points. But like, yeah, what riveting graphics! I had to look up the spelling of riveting like 3 times to make sure I did that right. But to be fair, we've just seen that I can't read the gigabyte sizes, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the drivers for having Shadow of War in here was the fact that they're fucking went and patented the Nemesis system, which is a really interesting system in its own right, and it involves a kind of procedurally generated interactivity with a world that allows a player to create their own stories. Right? I'm not going to go right into this isn't a Shadow of War video. But obviously it's been patented, which immediately means that a lot of other companies are really scared to do anything even similar to it, for fear of kind of patent violation and lawsuits and all this kind of shit. And
I
fuck them.
I've been reading. I've been interested in the way
Pinterest.
that it's horrible.
Ah.
By the way, Pinterest Among Us wallpaper.
Yeah. Don't know why.
Among Us. But yeah, like that's the reason we don't have interesting loading screens, is because like Bandai Namco or Namco Bandai or whatever they were called that year patented loading screen games.
Yeah. Like
this isn't it now. I'm just complaining about patenting, but
no,
shouldn't patent concepts. You can't patent a concept. It shouldn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, I would understand if they'd patented the specific code for their Nemesis system. I would get that. But
imagine if you did that in cinema, though, where it's like, I've invented the close-up. It is my thing. No one else can use it.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I mean, it's really interesting when I think about it. It's like how fucking bland the world of Shadow of War is. It's not what this video is about, but it's like, it is. I mean, that mini-map is fucking horrible. I get that it's like, oh, you're in a cave and you're going through a tunnel, but like, it's not a good looking graphic. Like there's no depth there whatsoever. So that's my moan about Ancestors there.
Wherever the marker is. The good news is
You mean about
is
Shadow
that
of War?
Ancestors doesn't suffer
Well,
from
yeah,
this,
sorry.
because the game just says,
Fuck.
hey, forget map markers. There's no map either. Fuck
This
you.
is my favourite
And this is a
edit in the
great
whole
example of the incredible research and attention to detail that went into creating this game. Because 10 million years ago, maps didn't exist. In all seriousness though, there's no map in this game, and the game's better for it. You navigate the world by encountering landmarks that you can sense and locate by using your character's intelligence. This is
As
great
much as I,
because
like,
unless you actively
rag on
choose to commit
Bethesda,
an area to
I'm
memory,
very
it
glad
won't
they didn't
remain
just
on
make
the
another
screen.
map
Your
that is
character
just
can't
very
just remember
clearly
everything
Scotland and
because
England and
you're a
Wales.
monkey and your brain hasn't evolved yet. But you, the player, have an advantage because you're somewhat more evolved and you can build up your own mental map of how the world looks. Or you can cheat and look at the maps that some of the lovely members of the Ancestors community have made. But I'll judge you for it. I think
So there's a couple of things with this, but one, I actually really like that there's a kind of say no to maps. I really like that that's a thing, because like maps, like if you'd had a map in this game, it wouldn't have been enjoyable, right? You would have explicitly known what to avoid and went out your way to just avoid them, basically. The one thing I hate about this section of the video is that there's a clear my balls must have dropped or something like that, because I go from
actively choose. I went into creating this game because 10 million
I go from
years ago,
speaking like
maps
that
didn't
to
exist.
the next one.
In all seriousness though, there's no map in this game and the game's better for it. You navigate the world.
I have absolutely no idea what happened with the audio there, but it was funny.
You put on your serious voice.
I put on my serious voice and I started talking like dead serious like this, just all the time. Which kind of I'm not gonna say it. It's a total off. It's an aside that would just go off on one tangent. I'm not gonna say that. You can speak to him about it later. That's an end of stream special if you want to.
Just remember everything advantage because you're somewhat more evolved.
So chuck that t-shirt in. That is a real t-shirt that exists. Feel free to go and purchase it. I'm not.
In the perfect, I'm gonna do a cringe self-admittance thing. I had a Facebook banner which had like a bunch of video game characters with that exact caption.
You know what? I know exactly the one you're talking about, and it had like Ezio and the guy from Half-Life 2 on it.
And the guy from Sky, the
Yeah.
Dragonborn was on it. Yep.
F in chat for Sky. That was funny though. But yeah, you can go and grab that.
Then you can build
Actually,
up
if you
your
type
own
in "I'm a
mental
gamer
map
not
of
because I
how
don't
the
have a
world
life," it's the
looks, or
first
you
thing
can
that you
cheat
get
and
that's
look at
good.
the maps that some of the lovely
the
members
first
of the
image.
Ancestors community have made. But I'll judge you for it.
Yes,
I think
Hex.
there's a lot to be
Can't
gained
wait.
from games that are hands off like this. They encourage the exploration and experimentation
More like she'll be picking
that
you up.
started my fascination
God,
with
I
games
hope so.
in the first place. I love
Yeah.
this kind of gameplay. There is, however, one major drawback, and I will agree to some extent with some of the reviews that I've seen, and that's that a lack of guidance can occasionally make it difficult when the player doesn't know where to draw the line on experimenting with the world. It can frustrate the player when they have knowledge of how to do something, but the game doesn't actually let you act on that knowledge. It's not
It brings me
surprising
so
that a
much
lot of new
joy to watch
players,
these
myself
monkeys get so
included,
happy about
immediately
picking
try
up like
to unlock
rocks.
prehistoric mankind's greatest achievement.
Like it's the
making
best thing
fire.
that's ever
And it
happened to them.
appears we weren't
Yeah.
alone, and it links back to the game being unfairly judged at launch, where one review claimed sharpening sticks, building a fire. Most abilities are rather mundane at first, but it's the only way to transform your troop of beasts into full-grown men. This sparked a bit of controversy when Panache Games revealed that in the game you can't make fire at all. I can only imagine how demoralising it must be for an indie studio when a review invents a mechanic that doesn't exist in the game and then says that that mechanic is poorly implemented. The review was eventually changed and the reviewer did apologise, but some publications seem to take issue with Panache even issuing a correction in the first place. So game journalists somehow managed to turn one of their errors into an attack on an indie studio when that studio dared to correct them on it.
Right,
That
when
being
did you
said,
custom
Patrice
make
Désolé
that
was
error
open-
message?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Took a lot of time. Not really. But yeah, like I think this bit's. I'll pause it after
The
this.
realities of being a new company and working under time pressure, and also empathise that a game journalist will also be working under time pressure as well, so probably didn't get to spend as much time with ancestors as Panache would have liked. I'll admit, I was looking forward to playing a prehistoric game where mankind discovers fire, and I can see why lots of other players took one look at the game.
It's like, desperately trying to make fire, made this video. What? Sorry.
Game's skill tree and started guessing what could be unlocked in the future.
See, the
Speaking
problem
of
with
which,
it
let's
is
talk
it
about the
doesn't
skill
have a
tree.
loot box that allowed me to unlock the fire remote.
Ah, yeah. We need more
Let's talk about the
microtransactions.
skill tree. Ban I from his own channel.
Sorry.
I love that little visual. Let's talk about the skill tree as well.
Yeah. No, it's good. So that section there actually was kind of like I do speak about reviews kind of like throughout the whole video. Like, you know, there's a bit about the kind of approach from reviews right at the start. There's a bit peppered kind of here. There's a bit about the controls, and you know, it's kind of like littered through. But that to me was the thing that kind of pissed me off the most when like I learned about it, because like the amount of like any of you have ever done any solo project ever will know how much like work you put into it, and you know, like how, you know, you didn't just get it and shove out the door. There was like checks, there was like all this, the amount of hours and everything else. For a reviewer to basically be like, oh yeah, making fire is really fucking mundane in your game, where the game, the mechanic doesn't exist.
Yeah, I really like this video. I just don't like part 10 when he spoke about swimming for 50 minutes.
Yeah, it's exactly that, and I think it's one of the things that annoyed the shit out of me when I kind of done it. Obviously, there's critique around like the control scheme, and there's critique around like the like. I mean, it mainly is about the control scheme, but then it's like, you know, it's repetitive. It's all these kind of mini actions. But that to me was a kind of like egregious error by the sort of game journalism community, because again, like we were talking about before, it wasn't just that one reviewer said it. It was the fact that game journalists then basically copied that review and put it on their own sites as well. And then, you know, like all of a sudden there was like, you know, when Panache approached and said, actually, you can't make fire in the game, you know, there was all this hullabaloo about an apology. But then there was a whole bunch of like lazy bastard game journalists who were like, oh, now I need to go and like issue a correction. And like a lot of them, I mean, there was a couple of ones out there that were like, you know, they were attacking Patrice Désolé, the sort of co-founder of Panache, as like, it seemed quite a personal like thing, because like as a kind of co-founder of a company, you know, Patrice basically went and said, you know, like he was kind of being like sarcastic when he said it, but it's like, well, he was giving an interview to a whole raft of journalists at a conference, and it was like, you know, well, don't ask me because apparently I don't know how to make a game, when he was kind of mocking the kind of the kind of, I don't know, like almost herd thought. Is it that? There's a better way of saying that. Like there was a kind of herd thought from the sort of game journalist community. But I think, you know, Patrice went on and was quite honest about the fact it's like, you know, there'll be game journalists who have to review X amount of games a week. They'll only have so much time to spend time with a game. Obviously, my first playthrough of this was over 20 hours at least. You know, that's a fairly sizable time for anyone to kind of do it. But later on, there's a user review that says that the horse riding is boring and shit. You know, you had the comments about the fire, and then you had the comments about the clumsy controls and everything, which we'll come on to. All of which seem to kind of overlook the fact that there's like a focused experience that they're trying to give here, and it's a bit frustrating that a lot of people just couldn't do any of the critical thinking to get a wee bit beyond that. Sounds like I'm being dead snarky at the moment, but it's
but like the group think is kind of a problem when
group
talking
think,
about
not
games.
herd thought. Good think.
Hard thought. You've become monkey. But like, even like, what's the word count for this script?
Good
For
question.
example, like kind of proving Patrice's point, where obviously, you know, we go into very like we could go even further
Excruciating.
into detail.
Yeah.
We could
Oh
go
god.
into even further detail though, but like the detail we go into, and this is a 40-minute video. Like I
Yeah.
fully understand why, you know, sites like certain sites and certain game reviewers can't publish 40-minute reviews on things, but at the
Yeah.
same time, just making up mechanics to complain about is like game journalism is unethical.
Yeah, I mean, we were approaching 7,000 words with this, which is all right. You know, I think I'm not so much focused on word count, but I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. I feel like I could have expanded on the various systems and stuff like that, but I think how did I manage to get herd mentality and groupthink and create herd thought out of it? Fucking hell.
Mentality.
Yeah. So anyway, skill tree, fantastic, really well implemented, great
I
system.
hadn't really registered
That's it.
how Ancestor's skill tree actually works in conjunction within the context of the game until I stopped playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla because I got bored in order to replay Ancestors. Look, this is important for the video. I'm not doing the Assassin's Creed rant. I'm not. Valhalla's skill tree, for me, can only be described as flaccid. Aside from unlocking a new skill.
Oh, did I
every
miss
so
my
often, skill points were so
the
plentiful.
cutting?
Yeah, you
joke.
did. Yeah, just is kind of roundabout here.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
We
because I got
went back and
bored
forth
in
on
order
that
to
one for a
replay
while.
Ancestors.
Yeah.
Look, this is
I
important
do
for
like
video. I'm not
the
doing
Assassin's Creed
rant. I'm
review,
not.
like pushing its way in.
Yeah,
Valhalla's
it was
skill
the zoom in that
for
made it.
me can only be described as flaccid. Aside from unlocking a new skill every so often, skill points were so plentiful.
Honestly,
and the
I could talk
improvements were
about
so
that
minor Valhalla's
tiny
skill
joke
tree
for
even
the
has
problems
a
of
I
trying to
don't
do
care,
that
just
joke
spend
for
the
about
skill
5
points
minutes.
option, which seems to be
Yeah,
a mission
we'll
even Ubisoft
pause it and you
knows
can
is
if
not
you want.
worth the time
Alright,
to scroll
so-
around it.
The stuff you see on the premiere screen, like the preview, isn't there because I'm an idiot. I could have just gone back and recorded like the actual screen, but instead I recorded it like, you know, a month ago when we had just started doing this project, and you know all the timings were different, and most of the footage actually has Ancestors stuff on the screen, and I spent ages trying to sync it up so that it would be like it can match, but then the cut, like the me deleting the footage was too quick in comparison to when you cut to it. So in the end, I've just green screened more more Assassin's Creed footage onto the screen, and been like, fuck it.
Yeah.
When in reality, I could have just gone back and re-recorded it, but instead I've wasted my own time for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was worth it, and I think that the zoom at the end kind of makes it. I have
That's a lot of what
Yeah,
sorry.
No, go on.
That's what a lot of editing is, though, where it's like you'll come up with these stupid ideas on how to get around problems, you know, like because I edit short films as well. It's like, well, okay, we can get around this continuity error by doing this and that and that, and then after like 3 or 4 days of it, someone will go, "Why don't we just cut the scene?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And that's most
Yeah.
of what editing is. I've learned. So why don't we just take the simple route?
Have I seen the Path of Exile skill tree? Yes, I have, Ravensfall, and it was the one thing that basically made me say no. Like I didn't want to play it after I saw the skill tree, and it's precise. I mean, I could talk about my burning hatred for Valhalla forever, and many of you have heard the Assassin's Creed rant, or at least snippets
Oh
of
my god!
of the
I
Assassin's
just
Creed.
googled the Path of Exile tree.
Oh, it's absurd, and it's fucking bigger than this one here. But the problem that I had, and like again, what I see is like the way it works in conjunction with the game is Ancestor skill tree actually has some kind of. I don't want to. I don't want to say diegetic because we're gonna get into a diegetic argument again. But it has that kind of you're inside the monkey's head. It's meaningful. This this shitty star chart where it's like pie in the sky crap is just rubbish in games, right? It is boring as hell, right?
It was good when Skyrim did it.
It was interesting when Skyrim did it because they were arguably the first to try and do something like that. But like, you know, I imagine all of these symbols are something connected to Norse mythology and very good if you want to wank yourself to sleep over it. But the issue that I had with this is like, you know, and I go in and it's like, oh great, my headshot damage is increased by like 4. Wonderful. Whereas like, you know, at the end of the day, someone in Ubisoft made the creative decision to say, let's put a auto-assigned skill point slap bang in the middle because we're going to get people who can't be arsed going around the skill tree. If you can't create a skill tree that's meaningful enough to the game that people are tactically choosing what to level up, why the fuck are you bothering making it that big?
Especially... Like, kind of another skill tree problem, at least I found, is when, like, you know, like kind of you said, skills are just meaningless, where it's like, +4 to headshot damage versus, say, you know, not even ancestors, but any, like, a skill tree should unlock something. You should get a new ability. You just shouldn't be able to be better at what you already do.
Well, it's like with you know, I've actually been playing Skyrim recently, kind of modded. Just for a laugh, but like the like smithing, for example, being able to say, okay, I can now smith a whole new group of armor is more interesting than you have slightly more stealth damage on enemies. That like we've now reduced the health bar to like a point system. And it's
like,
you know,
Minecraft is one of my favorite games of all time, and the game is basically nothing but a skill tree. Like, if you break it down, it's just acquiring more stuff. And it's just becoming more proficient at things.
Minecraft is capitalism. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a video that's talking about how Minecraft is like, you live out colonial fantasies in Minecraft.
Sorry, I'm getting Skyrim mod 6 questions. Thanks, Hex. They just wonderful.
Has
the biggest
obviously
Skyrim.
skill points option, which seems to be an admission that even Ubisoft knows it's not.
Hey, Adonis, how you doing?
Around it. Ancestors took a slightly different
Hi,
approach to
Ernest.
its skill tree, and it's far more engaging. You actually have to perform specific actions for the branch you want to level up. I say level up because that's all I can really think about, but there's not really levels in Ancestors. Instead, you build up neural energy, which loosely works as the game's XP system. This is done by doing actions while accompanied by the children of the clan, because, you know, monkey see, monkey do. Look, I had to put it in the script somewhere.
Jessica really wanted Donkey Kong somewhere, so that's what we did. I'm doing not too bad, Ernest. We're going through we're going through the kind of recent video that we've just put out. So it's all about Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey. Which, if you're looking for a really good game to stream, Ernest, Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey. It's class. It's got a steep learning curve, but it's great. My video explains all of this. But
I edited it.
and then Sky edited it. And we have a good rant about Assassin's Creed skill trees here. And then we're getting into all the different kind of parts of the skill tree. But anyway, we've been talking for like an hour and 15 minutes, and we're 14 minutes into the video.
We're not even halfway through the video.
As an adult clan member,
Oh, good stuff,
yeah,
Ernest.
hop on your back,
That's cool.
and if you fancy risking a second child, you can have one cling to your chest as like a human shield. With 2 kids, you gain more neural energy, which you can then spend
This is
to unlock
actually
nodes on the
where
skill
a cut
tree.
joke
The
is.
tree
Yeah, there was what I thought was a really funny cut joke, or a really funny joke that we ended up removing because I'm a massive stupid bastard. What I didn't realize, the joke was that one of the monkeys clings to your chest like a human shield, and the other one hangs onto your back, and what for? I swear to God, they must have patched it, but never mentioned anything in the patch notes. Because I'm pretty sure at one time when I was in the, the sea, I say sea, it was like swimming in the lake. The kind of joke was that the monkey was still holding onto your chest while you were swimming, so it was completely submerged in water for the duration of it. I was absolutely positive that this happened, only to find out in all of the footage that I rewatched, the monkey actually hops on your back, and I just didn't see it. So
yeah, like he went full conspiracy theory.
oh
Whereas,
yeah,
like, they must have removed it when I wasn't looking.
I was going through like patch notes from like day one. I was like, there must have been one point where they patched this, and they've removed it from the patch notes because they don't want to admit to it. but no, it was me being a stupid bastard. So
I know it's here. Like,
crying as I'm tearing it
it's
up.
designed to be like the brain, where you connect up nodes to unlock new abilities. The 4 starting strands are Motricity, which will end up covering dexterity, combat, and movement. Senses, your ability to smell and hear things. You know what senses are. Intelligence affects the speeds you can take.
Shout out to Sky for the D&D
Communication, which
joke
covers
there.
how to communicate and
Yep,
order
for all
your
you
tribe
D&D
about, as
fans.
well as intimidate predators.
intelligence, that's a
I
plus
think
2
what
to
I liked
history.
about Ancestors
Okay, so sorry, that bit there about communication. I'm gonna say this on stream,
Communication,
right?
which covers how to communicate and order your tribe about, as well as intimidate.
So let's just say I had many a visual joke planned for intimidate predators, right? All of which were left on the cutting room floor.
Yep.
Mainly because we were like, probably not a good stance. But there was so many individuals that we were planning on briefly, completely unrelated, showing up on screen. So yeah, that unfortunately all on the cutting room floor.
Predators. I think what I liked about Ancestors
Would have been hilarious.
is
Also,
it's
probably would have got me in
tangible
trouble.
each
So
connection that affects something other than an arbitrary number on screen. Seeing my ranged headshot damage increase by like a few points in Assassin's Creed Valhalla didn't excite me, but learning to walk upright in Ancestors was game-changing in regards to how I interacted with the world, and I could see that movement became faster and more aggressive.
I love
The
that
one issue I
comparison
have with
shot,
unlocking
actually.
bipedalism is that newborn
Yeah,
babies
this is where I
standing
learned
bolt
that
upright
a
is
lot of like
terrifying.
kind of and like best way to describe it is I learned that a lot of editing is just math.
in
It's
regards
just
to how I
understanding, like,
interacted with the world, and I could see that
percentages.
movement became faster and more aggressive. The one
Yeah.
issue I have with unlocking
Because normally I have such a
bipedalism
hard
is that
time
newborn
trying to split
babies
screens,
standing
so it's
bolt
like equal
upright
amounts.
is
Like, what if I just reduce the scale to
terrifying.
50, and then just put it at the side of the screen? There's the baby again.
look at him go.
You're so red.
But yeah, that. I really like
This
that
gives the
bit,
skill tree so
and
much
I love the
meaning.
side by
Not
side
only are you getting
comparison.
the visual feedback of these improvements throughout your clan's lineage, but the skill tree is actually related to something. It's not a tedious star chart separated from the character. You're actually inside your character's head and joining up neurons and making them a better monkey, and also dooming humanity because you've just evolved anxiety. You can also learn to swim, which is fun.
I love how
This
well
just
timed that is.
evolved, and evolution takes place over millions of years. So
can also learn
unfortunately
to
that
swim,
means
which
you
is
shouldn't
fun.
get too attached to your first ape, or you won't really get that far. There's a way to
Can't
advance
wait to go swimming
generations,
again.
with a caveat that you can only carry so much knowledge from one generation to the next, and this is dictated by the number of children you have in your clan. The number of kids you have is used to reinforce the neurons you've unlocked while performing actions. After you've chosen the neurons to reinforce, there's a generational change where the children become adults, the adults become elders, and the elders become a pile of bones.
On the ground.
Okay,
So
do you wanna-
the keen-eyed among you may have spotted 2 additions.
I had such a hard time finding old monkey. I was googling like royalty-free images of old monkey for like so long, and then I was like, I'll just Photoshop a beard on another monkey. That'll do it. That means he's old.
Yeah, I mean, I was just your FBI agent looking at your browser history, going, "What in the fuck is going on there?"
Old monkeys, elderly monkey, monkey who is old.
Yes, Hex, keen-eyed. You'll have noticed that we've got the Knight from Hollow Knight and Manny Calavera from Grim Fandango. So, there you have it.
On the ground. By approaching and analysing the bones, your new generation can absorb some of the neural energy that was left behind. Don't
Auto
try
mod's
this in
really
real
kicked
life,
off in
it's
the past
purely for
couple
the
of days.
purpose of the game.
Yeah, I
You
fucking
also
hate
tend to
Auto mod.
die around
I'm going to turn it
beds as
off
well,
soon.
which leads to some interesting sexual encounters with adults having sex on the bones of the fallen.
This makes me giggle every
And
time it
food
happens in
production
game, because
plays
it's
a
like,
big part in
how
the game. You
fucking
can have a
metal.
total of
Imagine
6
having like
children at the camp, and the game quite
sex
It's like Mary
next to
Shelley.
a
I think
corpse.
Mary Shelley lost her
Female eggs are
virginity
born
on
each
her mother's
time,
grave.
so that
The first Mary Shelley, the first goth GF.
Yeah, basically. I mean, she kept a calcified heart of her husband in her desk. So yeah.
Nice. But yeah, I always found it funny that you could like, you know, your apes could be like proper raw dogging it while like there's a pile of bones on the ground, because like a lot of the elder ones kind of hang about on like the leaf beds, so the moment they die they turn into a pile of bones. I think the creepiest glitch that I ran into in one of the games is when I changed generation, but the monkey who was the elder had died, and you could walk up to it, and like when you change monkey, you can swap from one to the next. You can like go from, you know, you can just like jump seamlessly. It's quite easy. But like I tried to jump into this monkey that was just standing. I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna jump in, and it said it was dead. Like it literally just said their name and that they were dead. It was terrifying. And then I turned around, and then the next second they were a pile of bones. So
when they become
So,
adults, they can
bone on the bones.
produce 2 kids per couple. I'm glad the game
We
doesn't
should have made a
focus
bone on the
that
bone
much on
joke.
lineage, or would be like
Yeah, we should have done. Raw dogging 10 million years before the creation of a condom. They could have used like a snake or something. But yeah, here it is. Habsburg family tree. Or as as was mentioned in the Discord, the Habsburg family wreath. This is really just the show up on screen, but it's totally fucked up. The more you look at it, the worse it gets. There's a lot of shit there. There's also a lot of uncles and nieces, which is also not cool. So
Yeah, it's like there's not a single part of the tree that isn't connected to someone else.
yeah, it's bad. Like it's really bad. So yeah, glad that the game doesn't take too much of that into account.
However, that might be the explanation for all the genetic mutations.
It's
which
probably
also
not far
form
off
part of
the
the
current
skill tree.
royal
Sometimes
family
children
tree.
are born with genetic mutations, and when they become adults, those
Maybe
mutations
slightly
will be
better.
active. However, you can't lock them in with a generation change like usual. Instead, you have to hit the
I love how the
evolution
camera
button.
just slams full force into your monkey's head.
How the fuck are we only on part 4?
I remember messaging you when we'd had a slight edit mishap and both of us had missed part 6.
Evolving
Like we
over
didn't
the
have a
course of
part
10
6. We just
million
went from
years
part
is
5
pretty
to part
tough.
7.
Especially
Yeah.
if
And you were
the
like,
game
how
has
is
a
there
day and
10
night cycle,
parts?
which, believe
Yeah.
it or not, takes
Like,
into
because you
account
wrote
individual days
7,000
and
words
nights.
about
When you hit
monkeys.
the
I.
birth button, another accurate representation of what happens in real life. It skips time, and when you skip a generation, it also jumps ahead by about 18 years. However, that's still a long time if you want to seriously evolve. So the game has an evolve mechanic, which is done by jumping into the
I too
evolve
go for
screen
18
and
year
pressing
naps.
evolve. The game, being a game, obviously
If only.
takes some creative liberties when it comes to the theory of evolution. One reviewer has some extremely strong words.
This was the funniest review that I found of Ancestors. It was just like, it was one of those user reviews that was obviously like the thing that I found really annoying about this actually, on because this is Metacritic I believe, was the fact that like there was so many flat out zeros out of 100. I believe, I think it's not out of 10 or anything, but it's like that was given a flat out 0, and it's just like it's I can't believe that people are allowed to like log on and essentially bring the user score down like that, because it's like there should be some sort of moderation. That like obviously this is just someone talking shite. So yeah, but like evolution propaganda, plus it's like a documentary. Games weren't made to be documentaries. Who the fuck are you
Someone's
Racinois.
never played Pokemon Snap. Actually, no, they hate evolution, so they wouldn't anyway.
Just to say about the
So,
whole idea.
yeah.
And I thought it was worth
So
discussing
this
because
sparked the idea that I
somewhere
was
somewhere
going to
it's
explain
probably
evolution
related.
to people
Before Charles
lightly.
Darwin published On the Origin of Species and
I hope you
Revolution
learned
of
something out of this bit,
Evolution,
actually,
there
because
another
it was
guy
really
called
interesting reading up on
Jean-Baptiste
it.
Lamarck, a zoologist
Did you
from
learn
France
anything out of
whose
this, I?
theory revolved around animals
From
changing
the
over course
Lamarckism, yeah. Like,
I just meant from the video at all.
I learned that I have the capacity to make quite good videos sometimes.
I learned how to say Machiridus.
No, I don't know about that.
of their life,
Smackiadorus.
passing those traits onto the
Lamarckism,
This
that's a
theory has
whole
largely
other
been
thing.
disproved and replaced by Darwin's theory of how natural selection
I love
works,
this
and that
bit.
a variety of traits are passed, but only
Look
some
at that
of those
fucking one
variations
there!
have a higher chance of
That was
survival
quite a
and
hard joke
reproduction.
to write down.
If someone
and, like,
Yeah.
explain in
for some
text.
reason wanted to take a really
Yeah.
intense look at how this game handles evolution, it could be viewed as Lamarckism.
That's how we
as
think
opposed to
evolution
Darwinism.
works, everyone.
But this is a game, and by means of arguing against my own argument that I've not seen anyone make, I'd say that the apes you can
Yes, Katie, I'm looking forward to that.
Thousands of apes over the course of tens of thousands.
Funnily enough, wouldn't be the first time that someone sent my video on to like an academic, because I have on good authority from multiple people that the In Defence of Scottish Gaelic video has been shown in classes in Scotland, which is pretty cool. So I
That
think
is cool as hell.
it's really quite cool. Although I'm wondering what they think about some of the content of those videos. Like, imagine you're watching a video about Scottish Gaelic, and you've got this horny on main guy talking about elf ears in like a old Gaelic TV show.
What's going to be funnier is they're going to be like, you know, one day they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to look at reviews for this monkey game. Wait, isn't this the guy from my Gaelic course?
Yeah, exactly. We're building up the cinematic universe at the moment, and the common thread is elf ears. Sadly.
Thousands of years. When you hit evolve, the game takes into account all of your in-game achievements, whether you've fought and killed animals, if you've explored anywhere new
Wait,
or
what?
discovered new tools.
It was shown in
as well as
Bangor
how many
University
kills you've
Linguistics.
climbed.
That's class.
Some achievements jump the timeline by up to 40,000 years, and that probably contains at least 3 generations. It's not super secret, but there's this mini challenge to evolve faster than the real-life evolution timeline, which is kind of cool. There are some achievements you can complete before the game expects you to as well, and this grants you bonus years that accelerates the speed of your lineage's evolution. When enough years pass, you evolve into a new species, and this grants different abilities.
Bet we could have made a
depending on
joke about
genetic
discovering the
mutations your
Highland
lineage
Peak.
has. In some cases, a whole
Yeah.
new
You know,
strand of the skill tree
Scottish.
allowing you to
Yeah.
do things like metabolize different types of food, open up new areas to explore by increasing your resistance to different temperatures, and even allow you to control your emotions, a trait which has long since departed anybody on Twitter. That's a lot.
that was a good bit from you there, Sky. So that was Sky doing the typing there.
This is a proof of dyslexia and how it's a real thing. That's a 3-minute video of me trying to type that line. When the fuck is the Braveheart video coming out?
Yes.
And
It's all
because
good.
1, I have to type it, but 2, I have to type it quickly.
Yeah.
I
think-
was in hell.
Shall I imagine, like, you know, do you have a mechanical keyboard?
Nope.
Oh, no, I was just thinking, imagine like how rapid that would be. I think one thing about that is that when I was writing this section, the bit that we've just watched there, about like you're trying to race against the sort of traditional evolutionary path. I feel like I could have gushed about that a wee bit more, because I did think it was such a clever concept to allow the player to do that. Like you can take on enemies that the game thinks that, you know, back in our kind of ancestry, like you can climb to the top of the food chain kind of faster than evolution. You can explore, obviously. You can craft tools that were obviously weren't really used until we were a fair bit later, and it's really interesting kind of going through that. I was asked, like, I was perusing the Ancestors subreddit today, and someone asked what they'd really like out of a kind of second game, and it was like, it'd be brilliant if they kind of kept that. Obviously, they've got less time to play about with. Plus, we're getting to the point where we're not going to be evolving too much more. I think you finish. You don't think you finish the game as Homo erectus. You finish it as Homo something else. And it'd be cool to have it evolve in like probably a tighter thing. Yeah, Homo erectus, erect, yeah, Homo, haha. yeah, we're all fine. Okay, get it out of your system. Everybody laugh. Everyone can have the 15 seconds of laughing at it. He said erectus.
It's funny every time.
Yeah, it's funny every time. God damn it. What if you want it in your system? Well, I can recommend a few websites. There's okay, so this bit that we're about to come up to was probably the hardest thing to fucking get.
To edit.
Was it a bitch to edit, or was it a bitch to come up with an idea for this section?
It was, yeah.
Bit of both.
Yeah, because we kept going back and forth on kind of what we wanted.
Yeah.
Because it's the end of the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, like...
Yeah. The thing
after we released the Patreon cut, it was like, what do we do with this? I remember even typing at one point, why don't we just come back to this later?
Yeah, and we did. We had to like constantly revisit it because it was like, obviously I've not got to the point where I've like videoed myself. Like you don't see any, like you see the kind of gif of me crying and then smiling when the Lumi lamp appears earlier, but you know there's no video, and I think that would have been a good time to like cut away for me to like directly narrate to the camera or whatever, but at the moment I don't really have the capacity for that. I don't know if people would like to watch me just like sitting here and narrating to this camera, or whether I need to like invest in like a lapel mic and try and figure out if there's a kind of, I don't know,
I own a lapel mic.
A set. But yeah, there's a whole raft of things, and you know I was looking at lapel mics today because it might be something of interest in the future, but trying to fill this section in with footage that was relevant was really tough. Specifically around the, like, it's a fairly serious point, like it is, you know, there's a lot of people who switch the game off. We've only got a limited amount of time to, you know, to have fun, because a lot of the time
capitalism has commoditized enjoyment.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that like monetizing your hobbies to make sure that you can afford to do the hobbies in the first place. My Patreon's somewhere, but the, you know, there's that element to it, but there's also like, you know, if you don't like the first couple of episodes, or even the first episode of a TV show on Netflix, you will immediately kind of pivot and say, oh, well, okay, it wasn't for me, I'll choose something else. Which means that things that maybe require that wee bit of time investment in the first place to be enjoyable, you know, you don't really get that chance. And I think that was maybe the issue with this game. But yeah, I didn't want to I still wanted to make this video quite positive. I didn't want to have an existential crisis in 20 minutes into the video, which I ended up doing anyway. But you know, I think it was something to consider. So yeah, this whole section was really quite difficult to come up with something that was relevant to what was being said, which then allowed us to kind of seamlessly slip back into like more ancestors discussion than like serious commentary on modern day society.
But we also keep it funny with some memes.
And I'm not surprised that it's overwhelming for some at first. For me, this is part of the reason as to why the game was judged unfairly at launch. Unfortunately, the society we live in puts us in a position where we're forced to make snap.
It's horrible that there's 200 streaming services.
In order not to waste what limited free time we do have to spend
consume content.
Who knows? Maybe this goes even deeper. It could even have
specifically our
consequences
content
on our mental and physical
please.
well-being, and could even impact our ability to
It's a meme. It hides your pain.
Connections with other people. I feel like we're breaking entirely new ground here and absolutely not flogging.
What was your
dead
caption when I sent you that photo as an example we could use on Discord? Something like people listening to me talk about ancestors for 40 minutes.
No, it was people listening to me talk about making the video for the past 3 months.
Utterly soulless. Their about section on their website states that Panache is far from being a copycat company. It stays away from trendy game models or content. Thinking outside the box and pushing boundaries is in the team's DNA. Even looking at the skill tree in isolation and the mechanics like generational changes, genetic mutations and evolution that all feeds into the skill tree, I think Panache makes true on that mission statement. And that approach is seen in other aspects of the game as well, in particular how the game controls.
So just on that bit there, I know it's a wee bit cliche to be like, oh, we think out the box and stuff like that, but I genuinely think they did a really good job at kind of living true to that. And, you know, as I was saying, I don't want to reiterate what you've just listened to in the video, but like taking the skill tree as it is and then fleshing it out into a whole system requiring, you know, evolution and the changing of generations and securing skills and continuing your lineage and like evolving gradually and all this sort of stuff. It just, to me, it had a lot more effort put in than, fuck it, we'll put it on a star map and, you know, your headshot damage will increase by fucking 3 or 4, and you'll enjoy it. You know, I just thought it was a wee bit more.
And you'll enjoy it.
Well, what is you will fucking enjoy this whether you like it or not. There's so much Valhalla gets wrong. I'm not gonna do the fucking Assassin's Creed rant. We're continuing. Sorry, controls are really mundane, but this is actually a really crucial point in the video, and it's one of the things that maybe I could have stressed a bit more in hindsight, but the way that Ancestors works is the controls are slightly unusual, right? You have very specific controls over very specific, like, you know, actions in game, and it takes a wee while getting used to. But I think it was entirely the point of Ancestors in the first place. Like, take a player that's probably coming from something like Assassin's Creed, where you can fucking hold the run button and then occasionally press A or whatever if you want to climb. But then take that and get them to just think about it a wee bit more. Have it unusual to the point where you've got to get used to it. And you go from that, you know, the first time you play the game, you are just like a primitive monkey and you need to fucking learn how to control and do all these things. And as you evolve in the game, you evolve how you use the controls. Amazing. So this is probably a bit of a mundane point, but it's also one of the really important points in why I think the game works so well. Sky, do you have anything to add on that?
Monkey.
How the game controls seems to be a really controversial topic, and it is by far one of the most moaned about aspects of the game in the reviews. I think the slightly
love how the first
unconventional
cut is
control scheme was
bad.
deliberate, and people complaining about it are exaggerating their frustrations just because they're also the sort of people who maybe don't want to take the time to learn about the other mechanics of the game. I watched one reviewer on YouTube before that there was a specific control to swap items from one hand to the other. It's actually one of the first neurons you unlock, the ability to switch an
I
item
think
from one hand to the next. This also unlocks item
Ancestors: The
manipulation,
Humankind
using
Odyssey
an item
2,
in one
they should
hand
add
on
a
an
monkey,
item in
an ability
the
to
other hand.
juggle just to
And
annoy
yeah,
that
it
guy.
sounds really
I'm thinking I know exactly who I'm speaking about when I speak about it there, but it's just this, like, as I was saying before, it's a reviewer who obviously has picked up quite a following on YouTube. It was one of those things that it was really easy for them, I believe, to kind of like scoop up views for it. And sorry, Perlo, I'll just answer you there. Yeah, I've played a wee bit of Kingdom Come Deliverance, but I think you're right. There is a bit of like things become easier as you progress because you're learning, which is like a really central point to this. When it comes to the guy who was reviewing though, it it was so performative. It fucking annoyed me when I was watching it. I remember like sitting there with watching his review while I was kind of like just jotting down ideas for the script, and then it was this realization that like all of the folk in who were like watching this video and like cheering on how how bad this game was and all this kind of thing, it was like the guy wasn't getting the fundamentals, and he didn't get like he just wanted to play like Assassin's Creed as a monkey really. And I think like games should try and do different things. I really appreciate that this tried to push the boundaries in kind of like a conceptual way and a game mechanic way. So it really annoyed me when someone like, it was just, I can remember it was so performative. It was like, I can't believe there's a button to swap from one hand to the I can do that. And like the guy's fucking sitting there passing his phone from one hand to the next. And it's like,
you're not a monkey.
What do you think we evolved to do, you fucking idiot?
Inadvertently,
God.
This guy has proved the opposite of his point.
Yeah, it's like fucking hell. Like looking at him, I was like, look, we've fucking devolved at this point. We evolved to get to a point. We're devolving now that we're watching you not be able to grasp.
We're going
basic
backwards.
Controls. We're returning to monkey in a bad way. I'm not letting this rant continue. So yeah, this control section was written with one specific reviewer in mind, and they are on YouTube, so you'll be able to find them.
So I think Panache should put in a juggling, the ability to juggle in the DLC or next game, and also they should put in like a Highland cow and a raven, like just somewhere in the film in the game.
I don't think either. I mean, they might get the raven. No way we're getting a Highland cow.
About this game. It actually made me sit back.
The raven will be
think
neat.
that,
Oh, which,
these are
wait,
really
no, I'm a
basic
crow.
motor functions that
No, I was gonna say.
evolved to do. Obviously, the majority of us take this
It's all
completely for
avian.
granted now, but I find it hard to imagine that the reviewer didn't think this was what the survival evolution game he was playing was actually aiming for. And by finding the controls of this game confusing means that reviewers probably
Idiot.
have a preferred control scheme in mind.
The
If
ability
we're
to pass things from
genuinely
foot to
making this
foot.
argument from an accessibility perspective, I'd totally agree. I think people should be able to remap
Ah,
controls
Titanfall
to
2,
their
my
preference,
beloved.
but I don't think that's what they're arguing for.
Titanfall 2 is amazing.
I think they just wanted to play a game with a control scheme similar to every other game they played. And for that reason, I believe Panache specifically went
Look at that
out of
guy's
their
shirt.
way to make
How-
the controls
how
slightly
fashionable.
unusual, because it
don't
feeds
know who
into
this
how
guy
they
is, but
want
he's
to
in a
make
lot of the
player
videos,
feel
like
at
the
the
behind the
stage.
He is one of the
10 million
experts they
games.
interviewed
You've got
for
to
the
learn and
experiences
evolve.
section,
And
I
after
believe.
you've played for a bit, the controls become second nature.
I wanted
and
to
this
do a little
lends itself to
visual
another cool
humor
aspect
or
of
even
the
visual
evolutionary
storytelling
cycle.
here with
As
the
you
game's
progress and
evolution.
evolve, the controls
Alongside
evolve
the
with
controls
you. At certain
evolution,
points in
alongside
your
the monkey's
The game
evolution.
unlocks
Yeah.
new controls like sprinting while bipedal or controlling emotions so you don't panic during combat. It's still a game at the end of the day, and we've not quite got a monkey VR game where you can throw your own shit at people. But unlocking
I wonder how many people paused at that section, but it turns out it's an actual
the
thing.
controls evolve.
Unless it was...
Evolution. The
Come
game
on.
unlocks new controls. It's still a game at the end of the day, and we've not quite got a monkey VR game where you can throw your own shit at
So apparently that's real. I don't know how real. But I thought it was funny enough to go in.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't talk to her either.
Yeah, I mean... Hey, we're gonna be so not used to like any sort of human interaction by the time that lockdown is like over. We might have some instances of this. Who knows?
people. But unlocking these new mechanics and learning them at the same pace as the monkeys I was controlling felt well earned and matched the progress that I was making in the game. Control scheme seems like a weird and oddly small subject to talk about.
I feel like there's a bit of self-reflection and understanding that people like, fucking hell, he just spoke about the controls, Jesus.
Of ancestors are kind of reinforcing each other. You're learning the controls at the same way that your apes are learning to evolve. And they're
F in chat
pushing
for
the player
Haven's Fall.
towards a certain experience. And then
Sorry,
there's
Haven's
combat.
Fall.
I do
then
like
there's
this.
combat.
I do like that this bit just straight up opens with clobbering a hyena to death, and then there's the finisher.
I'll start by saying, unlike the
It's the
skill tree and
rock
evolution
throw
of
of
concept the game
disrespect.
has, combat is pretty straightforward.
It's like wrestling or something, eh?
I suppose I could say that about pretty much everything in this game, but there's two main things to do in combat. You can dodge or you can attack. Dodging is done by aiming away from the attacker while holding a button and then releasing that button at the right time, and attacking is the same, but you must be facing your attacker and holding a weapon.
Killed the eagle, threw it over the side
Small
like a
pop-up
champ.
tutorials explaining the concepts of attacking
The eagles
and
are
dodging,
coming.
so I don't think it's too bad, but it
Not
can
for
get
long.
a wee bit repetitive having to sharpen a stick, stab an enemy,
That's
only
the secret
wound
new
that
ending to
enemy,
Lord of
and
the
then have to
Rings.
find
It's
another
I just
stick to
standing
sharpen.
on top of Mordor with a
Mechanically,
big
there's not
stick.
much difference between fighting a giant warthog, a giant centipede, or a giant elephant. And I'd agree that
Yeah,
combat
you
can
feel
be
a wee bit
extra
bad about
for
the
some
elephants.
variety. As
Warthogs
part of
can
the
fuck off.
dexterity section of the
Same with
skill tree,
centipedes.
You can fine-tune and evolve your ability to deal with threats a little better. This ranges from neurons that allow for more reaction time to ones that make sure your clan won't just stand around and wait to be eaten. That being said, bringing some of your clan members doesn't add much to the combat experience. It's not like you can spit roast a warthog together. I thought I'd taken that out of the script. Confrontations are always on a one-to-one basis, but if you're part of a group, then you can hit a button to intimidate other animals, causing them to flee from your monkey army. Of course, there's a massive challenge with trying to create a semi-realistic communication system set in a time where language as a concept didn't exist. Communicating with your other clan members is, you guessed it, extremely primitive. You're not going to come across in-depth dialogue trees in this game.
I was so proud of that joke. It turns out that there is like it took less time to actually make than I thought, because there's a generator for this, so you can like you can save that out as like a PNG, and you can make it as like diverse and interesting as you want. I could have done the other three sides, but I think the sort of standard one in Mass Effect is like the three on the right. So
I love that the implication that look at this stick is the Paragon option.
yeah, and then wanting pumped is the renegade. But yeah, it was good to do. I really like this section as well, because there's the bit on combat, and combat leaves a wee bit to be desired in the game, but like obviously it had to play a part. Similarly with communication, at the end of the day, it had to play a part in the game somehow, because if it didn't exist in the game, it'd be really, really weird and obvious. And I'm glad that instead of kind of half-assing it, they could have went, right, okay, maybe you're able to shout at your monkey and they can go and do stuff. They went two routes with it. They went, right, there's going to be a communication element with your tribe, and you're going to have to order them about and get them to follow you and all that sort of stuff. And on the other hand, there's also going to be that intimidating predators side, like actually using it in combat to, either give yourself an advantage or to get, like, animals out your road. And I think that again kind of speaks to the approach to the game. It would have been so easy to shrug off communication as a thing. Just like really
they haven't got there yet.
Yeah,
Evolutionary.
I mean, yeah, they could have totally half-assed it, and like again, there's no words said in the game, and I think even better, and it's one thing that I didn't have a debate with someone about it, but I saw someone suggest that they would have really preferred like a David Attenborough kind of narrator over the top of this game, and it was like that would take you right out of it. Like for me anyway, I think if you had a narrator over the top of this, imagine if you had some like old guy fucking narrating about the monkeys have fucking evolved to Homo eragaster. It's like, nah, it would be shit. I would hate it. So I'm really glad they didn't go the narration route.
Yes, we've all played the Stanley Parable.
It would, yeah.
I agree with Heaven's Fall. Yeah, like a narrator here would be. You're not really playing a monkey then. You're playing like
the narrator guiding,
the cameraman for the documentary.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's one thing, that other review that said that it's not supposed to be a documentary. If it had leaned further into the documentary side of things, it probably wouldn't have been like it wouldn't be a nice concept, let alone a good game. I think it would have completely detracted from it. I mean, the thing that I love about it so much is that like it does actually put you in the shoes of a ape 10 million years ago, and there's not like, you know, our ancestors didn't get much guidance on how to evolve. There wasn't a fucking pop-up screen. That's a Black Mirror concept in the making, isn't it? Like, I don't know, we get pop-up tutorials for evolving or some shit. I don't know.
But they're all clippy.
That,
from Microsoft.
we see. I see that you're trying to evolve.
Evansville, aren't you describing Spore?
Yes, there's Spore. I never played Spore. I remember seeing Spore and wanting to play Spore, but yeah.
Spore was not very good. It was
Yeah.
not a very good game.
I remember it being
For what it's
disappointing.
worth, I think the game does a good job at giving even the
Onwards.
most primitive communications some degree of meaning. The most basic of which is instructing your entire clan to follow you, which is pretty vital for a nomadic clan.
I loved that zoom in. I was so happy when that
The ability
happened
to
in game.
request individual members of your clan to follow you if you want to go foraging
Hey,
for backup.
Loyalty
The pinnacle
peep.
of this type of interclan
Welcome.
communication is ordering your clan to mimic the
Please
action
watching
you've
this
just done,
handsome.
which
What?
again
What?
builds on the whole
What do you
monkey
mean?
see, monkey do thing
They sent
quite
a link.
nicely. And it's also a great way to
As
gather
well.
crafting materials in one
Did they?
spot, which you can then
Well, they
make
tried
into
to, but
spears and
like,
equip
the
the
mod-
whole
we-
clan
the
for
mod
a great
catches it.
journey into the unknown. I think it's an interesting way to make communication.
I thought I was
magical
getting called
in a way
handsome for a
where
second there.
you couldn't communicate like
Never
you
get
just
called
now.
that.
You can't exactly gather a squad of monkeys in order them to go and hunt a saber-toothed
It was like
tiger,
the
otherwise
rarest of
it's
occasions. One of those things that you take to heart and cherish.
Machiridus.
But the game would feel really weird if there was
Right. It's Machiadoris sounds way
Okay, so yeah,
cooler.
there's a couple things going on there. One, that's not how you say Machiridus.
Great
That's a
journey into
typical
the unknown.
screw the creator
I think
joke.
it's an interesting way to make communication
But
magical
it's-
during a time
it's
where you
Machiadoris.
couldn't
It's not
communicate like you
Machiridus.
just now.
Fuck that.
You can't
But
exactly gather a
also,
squad of
yeah,
monkeys in order them to go and hunt a saber-toothed
I
tiger,
said-
otherwise known as
mentioned just like in one of our random calls that he mispronounced Machiridus. And then I was like, we could put this in as a joke. So I went to the How to Pronounce website, and the only two comments are, I'm here from ancestors. Yes, me too.
I mean, yeah.
saber-toothed tiger, otherwise known as a Machiadoris. See, this game does take
Machiadoris.
Machiridus.
Fuck you, Emma.
But the game would feel really weird if there was no communication at all, and I'm glad that Panache took the time
Shout out
to
to
add
Happy
it,
Boy and
even
I
if
Can
it's
Live
not
Forever.
fully fleshed out. I think not doing so would have detracted from the game
Machiridus.
overall, and I also feel like it does show how far we've come over the
Machiadoris just sounds way more fitting for a saber-toothed tiger, though.
The other
It
side
does,
of
I do
communication
agree,
is
but
used
like
to
we've also
scream
probably
at
said
animals you
Machiridus
encounter
more
and
than
make them
any
go
person
away.
on the
cool
planet.
thing about this
Yeah,
aspect of
yeah.
communication
Weeks.
is that, like
Oh,
other
yeah.
areas of the skill tree, it evolves as you do. At the start
I
of
do
the
like
game,
the
when
the
you
game
play,
has kind of
you really only have
zebras,
two
but not
options, fight or
zebras.
flight,
They're like
because by the time you've approached
Miocene
another animal,
horses,
they're
I think they're
probably
called.
already attacking you. However, later in the game, when you've evolved to the point where you can actively alter your character's emotions,
I love his little
whether
sneaky
they're
swagger.
cautious or
Yeah.
you can sneak up on prey or yell warnings to scare off predators before they close the distance and attack you. This has two potential benefits. The first being that the animal will leave the area and let you crack on with foraging or exploring. The second being that you can spook the animal to the point where they run away and encounter other nearby animals, which can trigger a chain of violent murder. In the end,
Do you
I
wanna
think there's
talk
room
about
for a
your
more
cut
fleshed
joke
out
here?
communication.
I'm trying to remember what the cut joke was.
The series of violence.
Oh, fuck. Right, okay, so really quickly. We had a cut joke here where there was essentially on that island, and for anyone who watched the stream of me playing Ancestors, they will have seen Crocodile Island. The funny bit was that the first time that we visited Crocodile Island in stream, it had absolutely no crocodiles on it at all, and didn't have any enemies at all, which was really odd. But in that cutscene with Crocodile Island, there's a warthog, there's 3 crocodiles, and there is a Machiridus or a Machiadoris. And what, like, I think I encounter the saber-toothed tiger and dodge out the way, but then that set off like a chain event spiral where it's like a crocodile took out the warthog, the saber-toothed tiger took out the crocodile, the saber-toothed tiger tried to chase me, which I dodged again, and then the Machidoris took out another crocodile. It was just like a chain of murder, and it was what we were gonna have there is the footage of that whole sequence playing out. And the joke that I'd previously written and recorded, might I add, was me.
This audio does exist.
Was me really bad, like deliberately badly singing "Circle of Life" from The Lion King, like atrocious. But like, it was one of those things that it wasn't a good enough quality to go in the video, in terms of like the actual audio quality wasn't good enough to go in for the joke that existed. All of the lyrics were good, but then it's if I'd maybe I don't know, I like singing at karaoke. I'm not good at. Every time I try and sing in front of people, I sabotage myself anyway, which makes it worse sounding than it would be if I was just singing badly normally. But yeah, we ended up cutting out Circle of Life because it was difficult to land. We tried to find a replacement. I did try and find a kazoo version of it, but in the end, there's a surprising lack of Circle of Life kazoo covers. So yeah, that's that. It ended up getting chopped, but chopped probably for the best, more than anything, because I think one thing that some of you might agree with me on is that like there is this kind of like fine balance between trying to do a video that's trying to tell a kind of specific story / analysis / take, and then doing that kind of like really in your face joke a minute stuff, and it's trying to get that balance right. I am hoping to I'll be running a poll on YouTube regarding video length soon, because I'm interested in maybe getting that right. I think more than enough people are happy to watch longer videos, but I think when we're when new people stumble across, they maybe don't want to. It's almost relating back to the bit before. Maybe they don't want to invest 40 minutes to see whether or not they'll like it. They maybe prefer something else. I did consider making my own kazoo cover, but like purchasing a kazoo and waiting for delivery. It was just like
learning to play the kazoo.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I probably wouldn't need to learn that much. I could have just done it really badly. So long as I got it kind of sounding like it. But anyway, that was cut out, and it was probably a good thing. So we will push on. There's a couple more sections left. So yeah, there's a couple of things that will be good. Some of my favourite sections are coming up, actually. Traversing the map and the journey, which is the conclusion effectively, is really good. I really like. Go on.
There's some really good editing and survival mechanics.
The game
yeah.
doesn't shy away from key aspects of survival.
Where's the
Keeping
President
health and
Obama
stamina in check is a key
putting the
component
medal
of
on
a lot of
himself
games,
meme?
but Ansel
When I
Yeah.
talk about
manages to
editing.
do it in a fairly unique way by not just layering them on top of each other, but also tying them into life expectancy.
I like that the subtitles are just blocking the lower half of the screen.
Lower middle section of the screen. A full green
Oh,
circle
yeah.
indicates a perfectly healthy
That's
ape,
why we
and
zoom.
as you climb trees,
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny?
you'll
Is
see
editing.
part
I
of the
edited,
circle change to
all of
yellow,
this. I
indicating
looked
that
at
you need
all
to
of this
take a
footage for
breather
hours.
and regain
I didn't
some
notice
stamina.
the
However,
stamina
if you
bar
gaze
until
with
you
the older
pointed it
members of
out
the tribe,
in the
you'll
review.
notice that the green circle
You
is
thought it was a
only
traffic
small,
light
but
system
you'll
at the
still
bottom of
be
the
able to see
screen.
outline
Green
of
I
means
didn't
go.
even notice it. I didn't even know it was
This
there. I
indicates
like.
this ape isn't long for this world, and
I was so
their overall health
focused
and
on the
stamina
top of the
are
monkey's
limited
head.
because of it. If you have an adult healthy ape, however, with a smaller green circle with a darker silhouette, it means that your ape needs either food, water, or sleep. But how do you know which one? Well, apes will hold
This is
their
a great
stomachs if
edit.
they're hungry, they'll clutch their throats if they're dying of thirst, or struggle to stay completely awake if they're sleepy. It's really good visual feedback, and one that
Little
works in
editing
tandem with
story
the lack
there.
of language to
The
communicate with the
animation for the being hungry
Is shorter.
is is shorter. So what I did, because the way that clip actually goes is like the monkey clutches its stomach, and then I guess you go and feed it or something. Like you wander off screen and come back.
Yeah.
That's actually reversed.
Ah.
The actual footage there of the monkey like clutching its stomach and then just standing normally is reversed of what actually happens.
Interesting. No, that's a good way of doing it. Because they it was really hard. Plus, I like that we zoom in on the middle one here, and just continue. But I liked the diagonal here in particular. Like, I mean, there's been quite a lot of comparison shots in the video, like the two monkeys running side by side, the controls. We had Halo and we had Titanfall. But it was nice to get like a wee bit of variation in, like, obviously if we're doing comparison. I think I remember, like, you know, we kind of annotated up saying, look, we're going to need to try and do something a bit different here. And it worked really well.
Yeah, there was a point that the annotations and the script did kind of become like, I know this is from you. It's like, I know this is another comparison shot, but can we do something interesting here?
Yeah. Same with this, actually.
Being bitten by venomous bugs, you have a whole bunch of other things to consider as you play. One thing that's quite
I quite like that one. I feel like that one really shows the amount of stuff you have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because each of those can be talked about in depth, but again, it was getting to that point where it's like, am I really gonna like crank the handle on that and like write another, 500 words or something? You know, it could have just extended the video to the point where people are like, right, I don't need to. I know what suffering from heat is. So yeah, it was that kind of balance. But I think there's an interesting bit here about the animation. If you look at the monkey dragging its leg, it is weirdly human, despite the fact that obviously we don't have a big toe developed yet. We've still got that kind of like big out off to the sides.
I think that's a better design choice evolutionary. I wish we'd stuck with that.
Well, actually, our modern foot is a biomechanical marvel. You'll be pleased to know, and it's all about balance.
My modern feet hurts when I stand on them. I have to wear slippers around the house because apparently I'm 80 years old.
Fair enough. But I've recently invested in a pair of it's like barefoot shoes, and it's like it's like they've got a wider toe box at the end, and it allows your foot to actually spread out naturally, and it's really interesting. It's like kind of changed the way that I walk. I've used that a couple of times. I've gone out for a couple of walks with it, and it's like beforehand, I would buy like the shoes that have quite a lot of like comfort in the heel and like all the sort of suspension and support and all the like motion control and shit that they try and like sell you. But these like barefoot ones,
motion controlled feet.
Yeah, motion controlled feet. It's a thing. But like the barefoot ones, because like the sole is that thin, you actually feel a lot more of the ground, and it sounds like proper like wank when I'm talking about that, but it's a brand called Vivo Barefoot. I've become a shell on my own stream. It's a brand called that, and it's like it's really they're quite good so far. They're pretty good for when we're like I was at the gym earlier today, and like for squatting and stuff, it's always good to have a flatter shoe. So I was trying that out, and they worked really well. So yeah. Anyway,
well, my slippers have that angry drumming Muppet on it. So
okay, well, my feet work. But no, like if you wanted, you can. I don't want to say you can give them a go. Maybe you can get up here because they are.
I'll come over and borrow your shoes.
Steal my shoes.
Omnivore and being able to metabolize
like I'm gonna steal your 3090.
No, it's a 3080, and it's never arriving.
The sickness is easy enough to combat if you're near running water, but adds that classic
getting cancelled live on stream. It had to happen sometime.
Sky would know if they open the feet pick folder.
Which poses a greater risk. There's a whole bunch of food types ranging from the likes of snake eggs to African buffalo to snails to mushrooms.
This video clip,
and
by the way, is called Delicious
Ancestors
Egg.
even has a fishing minigame.
That was a good edit,
Another
Sky.
reviewer
Yes,
came
if
across
anyone's a
found it
fan of
frustrating
Yakuza
that the
4.
It's Yakuza 4 specifically.
Specifically, it's Yakuza 4. I typed in fishy minigame music and found that video. I'm like, yes, because obviously Yakuza is like fairly popular at the moment as well. I've seen a lot of people talking about Yakuza.
Well, it's
And,
all
to
of
my-
it's
to
on
my
Game Pass.
understanding, it's a game that you play as a member of the Yakuza, but then also like halfway through every one they just go off the rails, and it's like you know halfway through the game it's like compete in this dance tournament.
Yeah,
for some
oh
reason.
yeah, it's like deliberately silly, and it gets away with it because it's really well crafted. It's all on Game Pass at the moment. Actually, I'm not sure whether to play them in chronological order or as in like officially chronological order or the order they came out.
So I read Pollock's comment. The monkey looks like he's just been told he's in a video game.
Also, I wasn't like, it was one thing. Obviously, there's not there's not tons of it, but we've paused it on a pair of tits. We've paused it on a pair of tits. I was worried that YouTube would be like, oh, we're gonna demonetize you.
the fuck out of it.
Not that I monetize any of my videos anyway. But yeah, I was worried that I would get demonetized because of monkey tits. So yeah.
Button that appears
Moving
whenever
on.
you encounter a new item didn't disappear, and that they could continue to inspect berries even
Look at
after
that
they discovered
bipedal
berries as a
child.
food source.
The
But
worst.
The reason it stays is because you can continue to inspect these foods, and your ape's reaction will give you a clue as to whether it's safe to eat or not.
Sorry, just on that point, the exact same reviewer that moaned about the controls also moaned about, why can I still inspect stuff when I've already discovered it? And it's like, because not every berry's the same. Some might poison you, and I ate a poison berry on stream. Not on stream, on fucking... That's the next
real
stream.
life.
Just me fucking eating poison berries.
In real
But yeah,
life to prove a point.
yeah, there was no health and safety executive and no food regulation back in the day, so the monkeys had to inspect every single bit of food that they had. I for Scotland won't get the 67 pence his video normally gets in ad revenue. Joke's on you, I've never had ad revenue. Haha.
Game
I
makes
don't
you
I don't have enough
think
views
about
to
stuff.
get that ever.
Whether it's how our brains changed over the course of millions of years, or how we learn to swap an object from one hand to the other, it's doing the exact same thing here by making you think about
Yeah, we're
how
back to switching
at
hands
one
just to
point
annoy that
we couldn't
reviewer
eat a
again.
delicious mushroom without being violently ill.
Delicious mushroom.
The same thing can be said about the
That joke about Fungifori is entirely for my dad. That's it.
game's world.
That's the end of that anecdote. There's just going to be no context.
There's no context. That's in the next Eye for Scotland lore
I
stream.
think one thing the map gets across really well is the sheer scale of it. It feels huge in a way that the likes of Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Assassin's Creed Valhalla doesn't actually achieve, despite their painfully bloated worlds. I actually think this is one of the major benefits of ditching a viewable map entirely.
These two sections here are my kind of, like, I'd like to say they're the culmination of this entire video. For me, traversing the map and the conclusion called the journey is for me the sort of principal one. So I probably won't comment too much on them unless there's something like, oh, I need to talk about that. I'd like to, we can chat about it at the end, and if any of you have any questions about it, feel free.
End of the
Just
game,
shout them
I
out.
knew every corner because I'd explored it with my clan, looking for threats around every turn, but also discovering hidden oases. Is that the plural of oasis? Oases? Oases? At the beginning, Ancestors challenges you to chart your own evolutionary path.
I
and
will
with that,
say,
it also
my
gives you the
boyfriend and I
freedom
now
to chart your own
regularly
path
go,
through the world.
Oases?
In that regard,
Just out of the
every
blue.
journey is a little bit different. However, there's a couple of great moments that, regardless of playthrough, the game manages to land every single time. When you begin the game, your settlement is up against a waterfall, and there's only one direction to go. While you start to learn how to play and explore, you're funneled through a narrow jungle corridor, at the end of which the entire jungle opens up. Huge rivers flow into a central lake and huge trees twist above you. You can hear all of the sounds you'd expect from a dense jungle, and you become completely immersed in exploration and foraging. The second is roughly midway through the game, as you emerge from the jungle lake area, entering lighter, sparser woodland. There's a ridge in the distance, and as you approach it, you see the vast savanna that stretches out forever in front of you. The jungle you were initially wary of now looks comforting and familiar. You're once again on the precipice of a whole new world with new dangers to explore. You, the player, almost want to turn back, but you know you can't. There's this instinctual desire to discover more, and how far you've come is driven home by the fact that the apes you play while crossing the blistering heat of the savannah are, by this point in the game, probably closer to where we are as a species just now than the apes you were when you started the game. This part, midway through Ancestors, lands every single time for me. I absolutely love it. But the game isn't over. You can cross
Such a good bit of the game. Such a good bit.
Food and new materials on the way. At the far
Even
end
better
of
when
the
you play
savannah,
it.
the
It was
map
great in
narrows
stream. It's
and
better
takes
when you
you
play
through
it.
a rocky canyon section before flattening and stretching out. In the last section of the game, you arrive at the beach where a huge ocean lies in front of you. The music swells and add this incredible weight to the scene. You and your lineage have came a long way both in distance and in time. You're not just thinking about the incredible journey that's brought you to this point, but you're thinking about the journey that lies ahead, even if you won't experience it in this game.
Sky, we can talk about the filming of this shot.
Yeah.
I
absolutely love this shot.
Oh, to be honest, this speaks to how amazing, like graphically impressive the game is. I mean, I know it's like it didn't have the biggest budget in the world. They could only do like so much, but if you take it from like all of the foliage and the like the forage and like the forage, foliage in the forage, foliage in the jungle and the forest. And then, like for me, it's the sun hitting the water here is just like, fucking damn, absolutely love it. And it was really useful that I love that you can see the monkey in that shot. I love that you can see it right up the top. I love that the game, when you zoom in on an area, or like when you discover an area, it gives you that wide pan shot. Which is really good. Otherwise, I think we'd be missing a lot of footage in this video if we didn't have those wide angle shots.
Those big sweeping vista shots were so useful.
Yeah, I was desperate.
It gave us all of our part headings.
Oh yeah, and I think one of the biggest issue that I was desperate, like for a good while, I dedicated a fair bit of time to trying to find if there was a way to do a free camera in game. There probably is, but like in the time scale of me learning how to fucking do it, it probably would have taken a good wee while. But it's good that we were able to resort to like in-game shots, because like this is how it looks in game, and it looks incredible.
Yeah, like there's an interesting component of making videos like this, and it's that I remember we first ever brought it up to each other during the Republic Commander video, but you stop playing the game as strictly like playing the game, and you have to start thinking like a camera.
Oh fuck, Jesus.
And obviously, like in first person, that's a lot easier because your eyes are the camera. In the Republic Commander video, it was the
first person
second
shooter.
section.
Yeah.
It was the second section on the ship.
Yeah, fuck that was.
But obviously on this, when you've got a third-person camera behind a monkey, it's like how can we make this look cinematic?
Yeah, and
like towards the end of editing as well, you went back and reshot a lot of stuff without the HUD on.
Yeah.
To kind of help with that.
Yeah, that was a fantastic fucking move, because like I always knew you could turn off the HUD in the game like at the start, but I didn't know you could editing the options. I know that I just hadn't really checked, but it really helped kind of pad out, like, just having a shot of the game in its entirety without tons of heads-up display was really good. So yeah, really, really chuff out this turnout. And for me, this part 9 is probably like, if you had to cut the best kind of, like, I think this is the best video to date. Like, I think Falkirk Centre was great, and I really enjoyed doing work on that. Republic Commando was obviously impacted by, I mean, we didn't even have this microphone back then, but like, it was also like how I was recording. I think I recorded it on OBS rather than Streamlabs. Fucking didn't help that Republic Commando was initially recorded in 720p. That's another story. But then, like, being able to nip in and grab footage of this was really, really good. Just being able to kind of do it on the fly.
So game developers, all the game developers watching this, obviously. Two things: let us turn off the HUD, and let us load up custom games.
Yeah, please. But yeah, and you're right, Havensfall. We wiped a hate group off the face of the world. Well, say that.
What are they called now? Like the Freedom Center or something?
Oh no, it's even worse. They are the Standing Up for Freedom Center. It's like, what a shitty mouthful. Just rubbish. Get a better name, you bunch of losers.
Suff.
Yeah. Crap.
Or Suff. The Suff Center.
Suff. Anyway, watch this end sequence. Enjoy it as much as I did, because and pay close attention to the music here, because I think from the start, from like the earliest draft of this script, I was like, Sky, we need to nail the music here. We need to absolutely nail it, and I think we did. Even that bit.
You know that feeling when you've finished a really good book or finished a TV series and there's this wave of bittersweetness that kind of hits you like a train? That's how I felt completing this game. The ending screen and credits hit home for a couple of reasons. The first being my personal journey with the game, and it wasn't just that single playthrough to completion, it was all of my attempts before that.
That shot of them on the
In a
beach
year
is
that had
very
been
Planet of
pretty
the
tough.
Apes.
Emotionally and physically on everyone. It was
I love this
a
bit
nice
coming up.
feeling to go back 10 million years ago before Brexit happened. The second reason is probably a bit more convoluted and infinitely more analytically
This is
pretentious,
warped
and
to
it's that
fuck.
Ancestors feel like it had this real artistic weight to it. I wish every game left me feeling the way that Ancestors did, and maybe I felt that way just because of where I am with my life.
It's really nothing, but
I'm
like,
glad
look
I
at
got
those
to
water ripples. I love
I
it.
think Ancestors can
36
proudly
people
insert
worked on
itself
this game.
into the debate about
Yeah.
video games as an art.
35.
There's this subconscious synergy
Well,
between the
sorry,
player
plus
and the lineage
composers.
you control within the game. You are at your most primitive when you start the game, both in terms of the apes you control and your knowledge of how to play. In an almost weirdly nice way, your failed attempts at trying to complete the game don't matter, in the same way that the countless elders who die and become set dressing for leaf bed sex also don't matter. What really matters at the end of the day is that you adapted and evolved how you played to reach the end. What I said about evolving anxiety earlier was meant to be a wee joke, but I think there's something oddly comforting about
Become weirdly
knowing that we
Scottish
developed
there.
Anxiety because it's what kept us alive, and it was undoubtedly successful.
A wee joke.
We wouldn't all be here, and I like that. It's about the journey, and if you have the patience to tackle the learning curve, you'll enjoy what this game has to offer. This was the first game by Panache, and they're a small indie studio, and by the looks of things, it's pretty obvious they're not short of ambition. I don't like that this game was monstered by reviewers when they were trying to push the boundaries. The game's not flawless by any means, and I'd like to think that I've addressed some of that. But for a non-narrative driven experience, this game has had a lot more heart to it than some of the bigger budget games out there, and I can only commend Panache Games for it. I really, really hope that a DLC or a sequel is made for this game, and I'd love to see how they could expand on the core mechanics and systems that have been developed. I think they've got something pretty special, and a game that can provoke such incredible reflection on where we've come as a species is a game that should be
Such a good
celebrated.
transition there, Sky.
Thank you.
thanks for watching, and thank you to everyone who shouted monkey at me on Twitch until I made this video. I'd love to thank all of my wonderful patrons who support the channel, and like
Some of you are in here.
Suzanne Brown, Dylan Aitken, Fitz Samusov, Jeanette Patterson, Lego 2x4,
Yeah,
Tunisian,
like
and Mastergun 117.
this video has also the first change to the credit sequence.
Indeedy.
Early, there's a link to my
with
Patreon below. See you in the next one.
us using music from the game and the addition of Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica as camera operator, who did a fantastic job in zooming in on that mayo bottle. And then of course there was obviously all of her contributions to the script as well. So
Tundra, are you reacting like that because your name is on screen? Just out of curiosity.
It be you. So yeah, if you want to join Tundra in the cool gang, I mean, you know. But yeah, obviously that is us kind of come to an end. You know, I'm gonna see if I can try to get. I know that, but okay. So put it this way: after the Falkirk Centre video, we've now kind of got to the point where the number of Patreons is now kind of exceeding a bit of, like, you know, we actually have to put them in a scrolling list now. I mean, beforehand we did do a scrolling list, but we were doing it in a way that meant that it looked like it was spaced out. Now we actually have to space these out, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, that last section, you've always described to me as kind of like a love letter to ancestors and panache.
Yeah, and like nail on the head, I think, for me anyway. It's exactly how I kind of pictured it.
I did love the transition from the person climbing, who they used as reference material.
Oh yeah.
To the monkey climbing, because there was so much work put on this game. It's on the Ancestors YouTube channel, like a bunch of behind the scenes explaining all the work that went into it.
Yeah, there's tons of that, but I think there's also like it. For me, I think the one thing about Ancestors that I really enjoyed, and I think it is obviously there's passionate. I mean, arguably there was probably passionate people that worked on like Cyberpunk, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure they were passionate.
Like, but there's a real. You can tell that the leadership were equally passionate about the game itself, not what the game would enable them to do. And I think, you know, like the fact that they even put together things like experience videos for, you know, there's they interview athletes and they look at athlete nutrition and how athletes, you know, run, and, you know, they interview like sprinters and all this sort of stuff. They obviously did a bit of work with this woman here, like, you know, climbing. They've got they did shit tons of research. They researched the game and evolution for 2 years before they actually started programming anything.
And like, to kind of, you know, they're still like, they're very engaged with their community, as well, like Panache and Ancestors. The announcement for this stream got retweeted by the Ancestors account.
Hey. And if you happen to be watching and lurking, thank you for making such a good game. But no, it's really good. I mean, the interesting thing is, you know, Ancestors, the subreddit for Ancestors is really quite vibrant, and it's like every day there's someone going on and asking for advice and stuff like that. And there's a kind of veteran community now that obviously can answer these questions, but a lot of the time it's you know, you can maybe think about you know, you can maybe do it yourself, or like, you know, just take on the learning curve and you'll appreciate it all the more. I think one of the things anyone who is a Patreon will have seen, we've actually been in contact with Panache, and I'm not gonna say what they said, but it's a feeling with pride. If you want to see a wee bit of what the reply was, you can become a patron and have a wee read at it. But for me, it was so nice to be recognised by them for the video, and that I think we hit the nail on the head on this one. I'm really chuffed with it. There's always this thing of like, I would love all my videos to explode, and go off the charts in regards to views and stuff. But I think I'm super happy with how engaged, all of you have just went and watched us break down a fucking video about it. So thank you very much for joining the stream tonight. But to anyone else who's like shared it, who's commented, who's even liked it, one thing that I'm always quite proud of is the like to dislike ratio on a lot of my videos is always quite good. A lot of my videos don't have any dislikes, and I can't wait until I annoy the right people and they dislike all of them. But that'll come. Next video will be probably shorter.
We've had some ideas for some future videos.
Oh yeah, I've got the next 3 mentally in my head, kind of mapped out. So, I'll just be progressing on to that. The problem that I'm running into is, on one hand, if I'm like, this is just a shareholder meeting now. So if any of you are interested, there's a kind of fine line between obviously videos that help the channel grow and videos like, I don't want to commit myself to making like another 45-minute video kind of over and over again.
These things take like it is a lot of work and a lot of time as well.
Yeah, like, that was shit tons of time.
When did the scripting for this video start?
Scripting for this video started. I had the first draft of this finished before the Falkirk Centre video came out. So scripting started in January. Didn't get tons of attention while we prepared for the Hollow Knight charity stream.
Which we did amazingly
well, yeah. And then
if you want to go back, you can view that on Scotland Live.
Yeah, if you look
YouTube channel
down below, if you're on desktop, there is a link to the stream archive, and I think this will go on the stream archive as well. Once I'm gonna download it and see if I can maybe edit out my entire emails popping up. So we'll see how that goes.
Just putting like the I for Scotland banner over it.
Yeah, pretty much. But then I think I'm reasonably happy with where we're going. The next video that I know that I'm pretty much working on at the moment is looking at Scottish cultural cringe. So it might be a term that you've heard bandied about. And the good news is the scripting for that's already well underway. It's going to probably be a shorter video. The question is how much shorter, because I feel like there's many facets of Scottish cultural cringe. Mm-hmm. There's obviously the cultural aspect of it. There's potentially the political aspect of it. And then there's a kind of like fusion of that. But also I'm looking to kind of explore the origin of what a cultural cringe is. The next couple of videos after that, I mean, you might have noticed I've been kind of doing like a one gaming one kind of political social one gaming one political social one. It doesn't need to stay that. I could lean into more obvious ones. I think the only thing for me is just like, obviously as our kind of community grows, and you've seen the amount of people who've joined things like the Discord or one political gaming social one. Oh Jesus, I'm going to do an analysis of BioShock, because nobody's ever done that before. It's just New Vegas. It's just a playthrough of New Vegas. It's not even any commentary. It's just silent, no audio for me. It's just a playthrough, and it's like 45 hours long. Big iron. Yeah, I like it. But yeah, that's us, I think.
One thing that, like, as well, and I kind of mentioned it with the credits, is the crew has gradually been expanding as well.
Yeah.
Of people who work on this video behind the scenes, like even more behind the scenes than me.
Yeah, and
which is really cool.
Yeah, and some want credit and some don't mind it, which is why some of the stuff's listed, and some aren't. But yeah, there's contributors to the video. I'm desperately trying to, I'll always maintain that all the scripting comes from myself, and then obviously the narration and all the sort of work and the kind of management of it all. Need to make sure that director is also somewhere in the credits. I think it is
created and presented by.
Created and presented. Okay, created, directed, and presented. Nah, I'm joking. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm really enjoying it at the moment. I think one thing that I'm quite keen on is obviously probably trying to get smaller but punchy videos out, because YouTube seems to like that a bit more at the moment than me taking a 3-month break to then publish like a 40-minute video. But the nice thing is at the moment, if for whatever reason one of the videos goes viral and we do what we want with the channel, we're building up quite a good backlog of good quality videos that people will be able to go back and have a look at. So I'm really chuffed with this one. It was a bit of it was the kind of first foray into more like cinematic analysis, whereas I feel like Republic Commando was very game footage, very like quite blunt and to the point. This was experimenting with a couple more things, and I feel like we're getting better each time. There's plenty of things that we've recognised from this video that are going to be changing the next time we make one. So it's that kind of like incremental improvement all the time. And of course, anyone who supports me on Patreon, all that money gets like reinvested into this stuff, whether it's kit or whether it's like stock images or whatever. All of it's getting like funneled back in, even if it's obviously given time to audio engineer or giving it to Sky for editing. There's a kind of creative ecosystem that we're kind of raised off the ground, which is really cool because we've got plans to take over BBC The Social. Fuck BBC The Social, it's rubbish. Cool.
I know people who work for BBC The Social.
Fuck them. Right, okay. I think we're good. Thanks very much for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed that. And we'll see you in the next stream where we'll be playing Ender Lilies on Sunday. So be sure to tune in. Catch you in a bit, folks. Bye bye.
Bye everyone.